Attention, please. The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Desolate Souls Presents, and welcome to episode 3 review of Blue Eyed Samurai. And as always, I have my co-host here, Amateur Analyst, and tonight we brought on a special guest, Stupenzo, joining us. How's it going,
Hello.
fellas?
Great. Wonderful. How's it going, everyone?
I'm looking forward to doing this with you guys. Lots of words for you guys tonight. Before we get started, I just want to quickly say thank you to everyone that's been watching the channel so far. Thank you for watching the reviews. We greatly appreciate it. We're getting pretty good numbers. And please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and send in your comments. We greatly appreciate it. We like to hear from everyone. Especially after this episode. This is a good episode, and let's get into it, you guys. Like, what are your general thoughts so far of episodes 1 and 2?
Well, first of all, pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me for the first time. I know we had talked about doing this some point after I got back home next week, but hell, let's start now. Whatever. But yeah, I like the show. The show is definitely one of the best offerings of Netflix. Like hands down.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, superbly animated, and the sound design and all this stuff is excellent. As far as initial impressions, I remember hitting Jay up after the 4th episode, and I was like, this is definitely like the best woke show I've ever seen. The best show that rallies against like the male patriarchy, white male patriarchy, and a lot of, I wouldn't say the show's woke, but there's like woke tropes such as like, you know, going, trying to kill white men for being white dudes, for, basically taking revenge for the crime of existing, like I exist, so I must take revenge for the people who created me.
It's like taking those woke sort of rally cries and tipping it on its head and actually making something good out of it.
Yeah. because that's the thing I was talking about with this show, and also Scavenger's Reign, which I loved, and even my book. I plan to work on some more of my vampire book, but like, yeah, the idea is like those types, they would still like this show, even though I don't know, you just do a couple little nods, I don't know, but don't make it too overtly message over the plot, and I don't know, explain everything thoroughly. And that's the thing, is like after I got into episode 5, I kind of started to rescind my initial criticisms. I was very dead set, like, the show would have been better if it was just a guy. The main character was a man, and the show primarily focused on racism, and that's it. Instead of trying to check all the boxes. But then you realize like all this other stuff later, which I don't want to get into until later episodes. But yes, it did redeem itself.
It definitely would have been a lot simpler from like a writing point of view if Mizu was just a guy. But
yeah, because there's a lot to go off of with the Edo Japan being all, secluded and isolated, and hating foreigners, and the irony of being a half-breed Japanese American dude or a European dude trying to kill European guys. Yeah, but then the complexities of just making it a woman. It's just one of those things where, like, if this had come out a few years earlier, it would have been a lot more fresh and done well. Because the thing is, we've seen it done and failed so many times that now you finally get one that does it well, and you're kind of like, I think it's like less impressive. I don't know. It just takes all these previous failed attempts, kind of take the sting off of a successful attempt like this.
I actually think it would have been the opposite. Like, if it came out a couple years ago, we would have been fresh off of like the whole Rey Palpatine thing and Arya Stark and all that. I think it would have done worse. That little 2-year gap sort of like it left enough time for us to get that bad taste out of our mouth, I think, so that if anyone ever did do it properly later, we'd be a bit more receptive of it, or at least not completely ignore it from the offset. But
I totally agree. I think it would have got lost in the mix of all the agenda-driven shows that were put out.
Not only that, but all those just streaming crap that was being unloaded. I think that
yes,
put the brakes on that recently. Less crap, less quantity. Everyone's talking about this. But yeah, I don't know. I remember so many things getting lost in the haze, and they still do. Netflix relies primarily on word of mouth for their advertising, because
it seems so. Because like I remember when Arcane came out, I don't think I saw an ad for it anywhere. I heard about it through like YouTube, people reviewing it, and I was like, "Huh, a cartoon for adults." And this has been sort of the same.
They want us to do all of their advertising for them with like memes and shit. Like the memes sell the movie.
Yeah, it's strange because some of their other stuff that they didn't even make, like Peaky Blinders and whatnot, they had huge ad campaigns, and like you had to live under a rock to not hear them coming. But like some of these really long-term, sort of like risky animated projects, they don't advertise it at all. I find that kind of strange.
Yeah. Well, I was saying another thing that makes it bittersweet is the show so well, and it's like one of those times where you're like, these fuckers can do this stuff. They can do it. That just means they choose not to. All these other
Michael Green can.
Yeah, Michael Green is great. I remember reading the credits and being like, oh, okay. And then backstage, I was like, I know who Michael Green is. I don't know who this lady is. And Jay
that's
was
his wife.
I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
But yeah, getting back to what you were mentioning earlier, Stepenzo, like after episode 5, it kind of just stitches everything together, and you get a clear vision of how this story's being laid out, and you're invested now. You're going through a lot with this character instead of that trope of I'm a Mary Sue and I can do everything and do anything, and you're not getting attached to that character because it's so overdone and it's ridiculous and it's poorly written or the dialogue's really bad. But with this series, you're getting the opposite of that, right? So
I also have I have no problem with girl boss characters like mowing down bad guys if they have a weapon like guns or a big ass sword. It's like, okay, and they don't really like make her like physically, intimidating or anything. Unarmed, she is very I wouldn't say frail, but she's just not as physically strong as some of these other characters. Most of these characters, like she's just, I don't know. First episode, I was hooked when that one guy has to pull the other dude's teeth out of the back of his head. Like that was
pretty neat.
I was like, okay, I'm totally into this. Like that first fight, that big fight scene there. All that stuff's so amazing. And it's like one of those things where you can watch it like in slow motion, frame by frame, again and again, and just be like, wow, because it's drawn, or computer animated, whatever, but still, it's just, for me, it's more, animation's more impressive sometimes than live action,
Oh, definitely. It's just there's much more intention with the way things move. Like every tiny little movement is all keyframed, right? Like someone goes in there and makes the elbow twist a certain way, and the upper lip pushes the face muscles and all that stuff. It's like it's very like detail dense. So
And
like
it
whereas
seems
live
like
action, you're just people running around, and whatever you capture in camera, that's what you have. I mean, you can patch shit together in the editing room, but it's not the same level of control as animation, like at all.
Yeah,
So,
it definitely seems like they're doing some kind of like wire puppet stuff animation, because like I don't understand how you said earlier in one of these other episodes I was listening to, like they made the show in less than a year, like on a small budget, like less than 20 million.
It's actually crazy.
It's Godzilla again. It's like how the hell? Like that's the thing. Is like it's a double-edged sword, because if you told me some of the best stuff you're going to watch next year, 2023, is going to be a Godzilla movie from Japan and a Netflix animated Japanese, samurai show.
It's not completely fair to say that it was like, yes, it was animated in a year, but they did a lot of,
of course,
like pre-production. They did a crazy amount of storyboarding. Like they basically had the entire show storyboarded, like camera moves, like all of that stuff, like finished before they even started animating. So they had a very good idea of like what they needed to do. So it was pretty efficient when it came to actually hiring the animation studio to come in and do it.
Do you think the showrunners just like spitballed ideas in bed, for years? I mean, that's what happens when you're
that's what it's.
Wife,
Yeah, exactly. Definitely helps.
Before we get started, I just want to say a quick hello to the chat. Halder, thanks for joining us. Hit that like. Thanks for joining us, bro. Caleb Reynolds, Hale, thanks for joining us, brother. And we'll probably get a steady flow of people coming in afterwards. So there's our guest right there, Stu Benzo, saying hail.
That's me. No, that's not me, actually. Who is that? It's a doppelganger.
That's the bot.
Asawatami. Asawatami. Thank you. What's up, everyone? Here, how we're all doing. Thanks for joining us, bro. Like, I appreciate you watching the shows. It's really cool that you're following this.
Well, you and a dozen other people recommended the show, so
yeah. So this episode here, episode 3, called A Fixed Number of Paths. It starts off after we left off in episode 2, where Mizu is battling the four fangs. She gets her the broken blade at the end, and Taigen challenges her, and she collapses to the ground because she's bleeding out from the side, because she was distracted by Taigen. And she collapses to the ground, and he's like thinking, do I kill her? But he wants his honor back. He wants an actual duel, and he doesn't kill her. So that's where we left off with episode 2. So now we're starting off with episode 3. We're starting off with a child being born, which is significant because, again, I work with a lot of trauma kids and at-risk youth and stuff like that. So right off the get-go, when you're seeing this child here and you're seeing a couple individuals looking to kill a blue-eyed infant that is banned from Edo, Japan at that time, is significant because it's trauma right off the get-go for this child. They sense it. Even people are like, well, how does the child know? The child knows. There's been several studies. The children can pick up trauma, like these traumatic experiences, even in the womb. They pick up these things, and it screws up with the limbic system, the cortex, the brainstem. It screws with them. So, like right off the get go, we're getting this significant beginning to Mizu here. Any thoughts to the beginning here, fellas?
Yeah, it definitely gives like a proper backstory for our main character, because that, like we were talking about before, there is that risk of her being considered a Mary Sue and people not being able to connect with her. And one of the biggest ways to circumvent that is to, pack on some trauma, pack on some, some baggage, some emotional instability, that sort of thing. Giving her a reason for being so highly motivated, or it's just providing that history of her never having a stable home life, stable relationships. It all aids to that subversion of that Mary Sue character type. And we start off
just relationship. There's no significant mother or anything. There's no relationship.
No, nothing.
So this child is kind of lost from the get-go.
I also like how, just so storytelling wise, all we have is a close-up of a baby, and we know it's the main character because of the blue eyes. It's a great character trait. And then B, we know that there's two people who are there to kill the baby, and one of them has like a change of thought or a change of heart, and there's a sword fight, and one of them kills the other, and it's all told, in a few seconds with just a close-up of the baby, and it's done very well. And blood spatter.
And it's interesting too, because neither of them are necessarily like super against her being blue-eyed, because the dialogue is a half-breed killing it is a mercy. So like, I don't know, I almost read that as they're trying to justify killing it because they don't want like the trouble that they're going to get from it. They're not necessarily they don't necessarily hate the fact that it's blue-eyed. It's almost like they're afraid. At least that's what I picked up from it, or at least it gave me that impression.
Morals and ethics kick in, right? Like,
yeah.
Now you're talking about a lot of added baggage. You're going to kill an infant. Like,
yeah, they have to justify that somehow. You know,
they're
just it shows they're not just pure brutal killing machines that are just completely subservient to the culture.
And then we get to the title here. Now, I'm curious what your thoughts are on this, guys, because I know the first two episodes, there's a lot of meaning with the color in the background, and then the little avatar right here. So we see the arrow for this one for episode 3. What are your thoughts on the color picked for this episode?
I think it's the blue of the moon is what I thought it was, because they do a lot of shots where, like, post battle, or when she's like really wounded at the end, she's like looking up at the moon, and it's like the source for a lot of her flashbacks.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we know what the arrow is, and then also the blue of the ice cavern cave chasm that they hide in.
Could be that as well. Yeah.
Who knows?
This is my thought on it, and because this whole episode basically is based on revenge. Mizu is focused on getting one of the 4, now 3 white men, and Taigen is focused on getting revenge on for losing his respect and his honor by Mizu. And then you have the kind of like, I don't want to say revenge, but you got the cold you got the cold reality of life for Akemi, where she's been kind of had a father figure by Sakai, and she feels like he lied to her the whole time, so that trust has been broken. And so it's kind of like the arrow indicating covering the sun, everything's cold, everything is like cold-hearted, everything is just dull. Like this whole episode, the beginning of this episode, everything was that tint color. There was snow, the wind, everything was based on this kind of color scheme. That was my kind of take on it, but maybe I went too deep into it. But
you started to sound like me
already.
Yeah. Well, everything just seems so cold. Like even Abijah, as we get further in, he's enraged by this. Like he's like feeling like his trust has been broken with what's his name there?
Haji Shindu.
Hiji, Shindu. Like everything feels like it's broken. The trust, revenge, like everything's dark in this episode. So I just felt like this is and the wind. The other thing is the wind, but that plays a big factor. Wind of the arrows, the wind gusting throughout the whole episode. That's yeah.
Haiji Shindo, voiced by Randall Park from The Interview and Office and stuff. That guy.
So we start off the episode. We got the splashing of the water where we left off again with Taigen hovering over Mizu. And
bisexual
he's like,
sunset.
yeah. I knew someone was going to bring that up tonight.
I love that color. I'm sorry, bisexual, whatever. I love that pink and blue color. It's fucking hot.
So do I.
Cool. Reminds me.
Is
of
that what that means?
Pink, purple, and blue.
There is representation in here after all. I knew it. Ruined. Can't watch it.
No.
Canceled.
This is what I'm getting to earlier though. Like the sun is setting. Like everything's cold.
Yeah.
Like it's setting. Like everything's being set up. Right. There's the sun's leaving. This episode's going to be a cold episode. You don't see any sunlight through this episode until he mentions the sunlight being blinded by the arrows later on. So
I grew up in El Paso, and you get some pretty hardcore neon sunsets like this, and it reminds you of one of those you remember those hot pink drawing pads that you would just like rub your finger on, and it turned like a purple to pink, and then you take the sheet off like a tracing paper sheet and restart like a Magnadoodle almost.
Yeah,
right.
I remember it.
Those little toys.
I think that might be before my time.
Maybe. all you elderlies know what I'm talking about.
Then we see Ringo making his entrance in this episode, coming to defend his master.
Coming in hot with that dad bod.
Yeah. And coming in with that stick, like he's still hanging on to it because in his mind, he's still, wanting to become something special.
Right. That's what the stick's from. It's that luck thing.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Like
I was wondering what that was, and I couldn't figure it out. And I got kind of mad because I was like, fuck, it should be obvious, but I'm not remembering it.
He's also got his little bell. His little bell.
Yes, his bell. Which Taigen hears. That's why he turns around, right? Which that's what I mean when we talk like an amateur. We talked about this, and Enzo, I'm really curious in your takes tonight. But when we be talking about this, every scene there's something significant that happens later on.
Yeah,
it's either dialogue or some kind of like it fits everywhere. There's no filler.
I think it's one of the reasons why I love animation. I know like a lot of especially the ladies, definitely the girls I've dated, they don't really dig the cartoons, especially mature cartoons.
No, they don't. And I find that very strange.
I don't like this. Yeah. And it doesn't matter how good it is or how fucking amazing it is. And they would just be like, this ain't my cup of tea, babe.
They do like Beauty and the Beast, though, I've noticed. And there's all kinds of psychology behind that one. But
I think it's like all the cartoons are kiddie shit, even if it's like hyper violent and stuff. It doesn't matter. What do you
I used to hold that. I used to hold that opinion, but I think Arcane changed me with that. It's just like, animation can actually be very mature and very like complex.
Yeah. I don't like anime shows. They're too weird. They're too hard to follow. They're too voluminous. But anime movies, I've always been a fan of them. There's so many good ones, and there's a lot of bad ones too. But I mean, dude, it's just wild.
I never really got into anime. I keep trying. People keep recommending stuff. I get about like 20 minutes in. I'm just like, you know what? It's not for me.
Which ones are you watching though?
Oh man, I can't remember the name of all
Japanese.
of them. I can give you a good list.
I love Studio Ghibli, but that's not anime. Yeah. But like that's about as close as I get.
Sure. But, I mean, Paprika's a great one. All Satoshi Kon movies are amazing. Paprika, Millennium Actress, Perfect Blue.
Maybe I should try the movies. That might be where I'm going wrong. Yeah, just hopping straight into like the popular shows, and it's like, this is a bit much.
Imagine if Alfred Hitchcock made anime. That's basically Satoshi Kon.
Now you're talking my language.
Good stuff.
So we're getting to this. Ringo he pushes Taigen over. He drops the stick. He picks up his master. and he kind of threatens Taigen here, like saying, "Don't you dare touch her or touch him." Sorry, and Taigen's just kind of like taken back. Like, I love this about this episode. Like Taigen's kind of respecting the relationship between the two.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And it also
is master, and what's the opposite of that? The master and the pupil? The student? What do they call it?
Well, I always
sure.
call Copa my sensei, and I'm just a student.
Okay. Okay, so the master and the student, yeah. But that relationship Taigen knows about. I like his haircut. Is he naturally balding like that, or did he just? Is that his?
No, he got it lopped off at the end of the first episode.
Right. That's right. That's why she makes fun of his hair later. I remember.
Yeah, that's why he's going back to fight Mizu, because of his honor's been lost, and he's lost. We were saying that like with sumo wrestlers that when they retire, they cut their hair to indicate that they're no longer going to be in battle or fight. Like, that's it. Like this is
one of those
huge,
great coloring with just this little hot pink highlights here and there, just so you could still imagine that big sunset over there. It's just great. Easy to oversee this kind of stuff, especially in animation.
Yeah, lighting's huge for animation. It's like there's no depth without it. So
the cool thing is, I bet you I wouldn't be surprised if the lighting in the show is computer assisted.
No, it's not. It's 100% not for a fact. I know this. Same with Arcane, which is even more impressive.
Wow. Because I know you could use like 3D programs and just say light source over here, so that way all the highlights and stuff, what they would normally look like, you can. It's all. It
is still hard, because even if if you make something like Frozen or like Up, it is all it's inside of a game engine. Yeah, you can hit that ray trace lighting button, but it's still not perfectly lit, even if it is super realistic. So you're placing little volumetric like light nodes here and there, and there's still a bit of artistry to it, but it's definitely not the same as drawing highlights and low lights and midtones and stuff on characters in motion. That's just insane.
I wouldn't be surprised if this show was animated similarly more to like a video game is animated.
Well, yeah, Dragon's Lair, right? The old school Dragon's Lair. I don't know if you remember that.
I would say just a lot of 3D articles, objects that you use, and the camera can just go anywhere, kind of thing, and that's why everything kind of retains shape. It's like Iron Giant, the giant himself. Like all the movies hand drawn except for him. He's computer assisted. It looks
yeah, very similar technique. Yeah, everything's 2D except for the giant.
So, getting back to this, where like Taigen picks up the sword and tells Ringo that there is a shrine up the mountainside up north. Ringo carries Mizu up, and she's feeling or having flashbacks, a lot of trauma induced flashbacks. Like, look at the scenery though. Like that is like this blows me away how well, like, and I hope if you're listening, Mr. Brian Kissinger, I would love to have you on this, because like the work that you've done into this show is incredible. Like, this stuff here is,
it really is
top notch. Like, this and Arcane have like incredible, amazing animation and artwork and character designs. It's like we talked about it before they're amateur, about how simple the facial features are, but the way they color them and the way they do the shading and the rendering is just so well done. Like, it's just you get the effect that you want from the character.
Yeah, that's like, it's almost like a minimalist approach where you just have like the few lines that you need on the face to get the expression that you want, and that's it. No no wasting time, no extra lines that are unnecessary.
Yeah, it's hard to do it that way. Every line especially on a woman's face, adds like 10 years, it's drawing a guy is easy because you get more lines means like grizzled, but a woman,
it's like Akemi. She starts out with that white geisha paint on her face, and she has like no facial features whatsoever, and then like as each episode goes on, she gets more and more facial features. I guess her makeup's wearing off or whatever.
It kind of reminds me of that Netflix movie that I watched once, the Klaus one, but with more of like a cell shaded, kind of like computer animated Starship Troopers movie gloss to it. Some of these video games I remember had this great look to it, but I don't know. This looks very smooth, and it's just such a unique look. This whole animation process style.
Yeah, Klaus is a great piece of animation. I'm not even sure which technique it is, but
did you bring that up last week there, Amateur Klaus? Someone brought
maybe.
Yeah. Well, the frame rate this is filmed at what? I think it was 24
better
frames
frame
per
rate. Yeah, smoother than
no,
Klaus.
Oh, Klaus, I don't know. Yeah, Klaus is I think 30.
Kind of look, stop motion kind of look to it.
This is 24, and then the characters are 15.
Yeah,
which is interesting. So the characters have that like Spider-Verse kind of look, and then the backgrounds are like normal cinematic, not quite super smooth, but.
So yeah, we're getting into the flashbacks for Mizu, and it's basically just showing all the trauma she experienced as a child, the fires. She's lying on the floor healing, and then we're going into we're seeing Baija here with Hiji Shindu, and it's just irritated hearing about the the four fangs, and
got the flesh trader here.
Yes, and takes out his rage here. Again, no wasted dialogue or scene here, because it's very significant what happens here. He slices through the table and then cuts the flour in the same process, and we'll hang on to that for later. But you get to hear and know Abaja a little bit more here, how he's got this plan. And there was something that he said in this scene about like everything is kind of sexual with him in some sort of way. Like he's talking about spreading the cheeks so we can enter into the city. And I'm like, this guy's very sexualized, like, and very, it's just weird how he kind of just throws it into every kind of scene. Oh, hey, Corey, how's it going? No, this is Blue Eye Samurai. This is not a Disney cartoon. This is on Netflix. You should check it out, bro. This is great.
Yeah.
It's really well done. Very well.
I think Disney would find this very problematic for their brand.
Yes, very problematic. So what are your thoughts so far about like going from the flashbacks with Mizu to this point here with Abijah?
Yeah, it's pretty good pacing. I mean,
yeah,
you don't want to draw out the flashbacks too much. You don't want to show your character suffering too much, because it starts to drag on a bit. And it does make sense to pop over to see what our sort of antagonists are doing. And we still, at this point, don't really understand what Fowler's deal is. Like, we don't know what his plan is. We don't know what he wants. But he's sort of like revealing little bits at a time through these nice, short, punchy scenes. And like you said before, the dialogue's like very sexualized. Basically, every piece of dialogue this guy has is gold. And then I can never remember the name of the voice actor, but he does a phenomenal job with this guy. Yeah. Brenna.
I do get little glimpses of his character from Wild Wild West coming out. I know he's not intending to. He's doing like an Irish accent, but sometimes I can hear his little guy with no legs in the wheelchair from Wild Wild West. He does that weird country accent. But yeah, I like this character. I've always joked, like, your furniture, if you want to get, your furniture isn't cheap. Your furniture's top of the line when you can kill someone with it. Like if I could take my chair and run your face into it and kill you with it, and the chair doesn't even get broken.
Yeah, that's solid Shirakashi oak, man. We don't even have that wood over here.
Smashing like the bridge in between your eyes, and piercing your frontal lobe with a chair. Pretty gnarly. I just like his like you said, his perversionness. He's very just evil. You don't like him, I assume, because he's a ginger.
And the one little piece. Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's just like the idea that like, oh, these blue-eyed people, they don't have souls. These half-breed, these, she's a demon. But then, we always joke about how gingers have no souls, or at least, people joke about that. I don't. I think that's inappropriate and rude. But it's just,
Sure.
Do you think there's like trying to? I don't know. He's Irish, even though he keeps talking about how he's English. He's obviously Irish, right?
Yes, he's Irish.
Okay.
Yeah.
100% Irish.
Yeah. But back then the Irish were slaves.
Right.
So
yeah,
I think that's why he's trying to convince everyone he's English to become, say he's more royal than what he's
like
actually.
Yeah, that's like how my Italian relatives lied about being from northern Italy. When the truth is, they are not from northern Italy.
Yeah. This scene is significant for later on, and even through the series. Like it's just watching. The more times I watch this, I'm just like, wow, they just really didn't waste anything when they wrote this, and when they put the scenes together. The pacing's fantastic. Oh, go ahead, Amateur.
I would almost argue that they give us like so much important information and they don't stop. So you end up missing a lot of, like, especially if you watch it like I do, where you just sit down and watch the entire series in one go, and all the episodes sort of like bleed into one giant episode. But like, I totally missed the fact that he cut the rows and the table in one swoop, which like sort of gives you a little glance into like his fighting ability, which explains later on in the show much better. They also like give you they don't give you his full motivation, but they give you a little piece of his plan. Like they've been planning for 10 years to take control of the shogun, which is like the form of government that they have not the form of government. That's like their sort of like little regional emperors, I guess you could call them. And it's fascinating because like, it's very watchable, but like you can definitely watch it like 2 or 3 times and find stuff that you didn't pick up on the first time, because like they don't, like, there's no padding. They don't waste any time showing things like multiple times. So if you're not paying like you're not giving it your full attention, you will miss a lot, but it still makes sense. So like, I can't say it's bad pacing, but they reward you for paying attention for sure.
Yeah, it's like we said earlier, like with animation, it's harder to just like try different things. And I feel like they do that nowadays with computer animators. Like, oh, we'll just try it this way. And if that doesn't work, we'll try it that way. It's like, dude, this is expensive and time consuming animation. When you take into account its animation and you plan everything, measure it twice, cut it once, but with a movie. That's kind of what's going on here. We got to trim all the fat and make sure nothing is, we're not paying anyone to animate anything that doesn't need to be here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because that's what happens when you actually pay your animators.
Yeah. Corey, this is all 2D, bud. This is everything. It's 2D meant to look 3D. This is the beautiful.
There are some
3D
things.
It's all 3D.
It's 2D drawn elements that are basically wrapped around 3D objects. So like the only you have to call it 3D just because of the way the camera works, but like everything is basically hand drawn on a computer or with a mouse. I don't know what the fuck they used, but I don't know if it's like Roger Rabbit, but
well, it's like everything is animated, hand drawn, but then to give it that extra oomph. The shading, there's so much more attention to the shading, and it's,
for sure. Yeah, to try to, they're basically taking cell animation and they're compositing it, right? Which that shouldn't work, man. It's so hard. Like, I've never done cell animation, but I've done compositing, and like, you don't have many tools to work with if you don't have it on like Photoshop. It's like, fuck, man. Like, how do you get how do you get the shadow to like be the right color on the floor with like, it doesn't work like that with cell animation, man. Like, whatever color you get off the light table, that's what you get, dude. It's like,
you're getting darks when it comes to cell. Like I've done cell, and it's you're man, it's meticulous. It's a lot of work. Like, that's why I give a lot of props to Don Bluth and what's his name there? One of my favorites of all time. He did Fritz the Cat and
Bakshi.
Bakshi, like
American
Fire and
Pop,
Ice.
dude.
American
is my
Pop,
favorite.
Wizards, all that
His-
kind of stuff.
His
He does
awful but
rotoscoping.
also amazing Lord of the Rings. That's like incomplete. It's really bad, but it's also amazing at the same time.
Yeah, this is not rotoscoping, but Baxi movies are rotoscoping where it's filmed. They film it for reference and then they trace the reference.
Yes.
That's rotoscoping.
There's a bunch of YouTubers that actually have they incorporate a very similar technique. I forget what the program's called, but they're excellent. Oh man, I'm trying to think of the guy's name. He's pretty big now.
The uncensored Grinch cartoon, is that what you're talking about?
No. I'd have to look it up now. It's a very interesting technique. I'm hoping someone figures it out, but maybe I'll look it up while you guys are talking about something else.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Now I'm losing.
He did like a Star Wars short with Justin Roiland about a year ago, and it's fucking hilarious with the suicidal robot. The fuck is the guy's name?
You take
It's gonna
Benjamin
drive me
across
nuts.
the bathrooms because you like the taste of piss, Mr. Grinch. So that's the song. It's good. Anyway,
but yeah, here we're getting into the scene where you could tell he's frustrated, but he doesn't really show it. Like you know he's getting upset here, but like a typical, I don't want to say typical, actually I shouldn't say that, but like,
yeah, he's anything but typical.
No, I was gonna say like your typical royal Japanese, where they just stay calm and cool and stoic.
Yeah.
They don't show any emotion. He hauls in his big gun and says, "It's time for a tea party." And so we next thing you know, we're back to this scene here, where Ringo is healing Mizu, stitching her up. Taigen's there. He's kind of having a conversation with Ringo and trying to gauge why he's so loyal to Mizu, as Ringo is making soup to help heal, like he calls it medicine, and he's putting in mushrooms and everything into this kind of soup or broth.
Then we get an interesting little setup with the snowcap mushroom.
Yes, the snowcap.
Because he points out that like one little bite sort of makes you feel sick, and then two will kill you.
Yes. The foreshadowing here. Hey, Kayla, thanks for joining us. Yeah, like that's the beautiful thing. Like everything, like we keep talking about this on this show, but everything is a setup for later in each episode, each scene.
We also meet the heavy when they say call the tea ceremony. That's not sounds bad. Like he could say like call happy fun time. And you'd be like, oh, that doesn't sound good at all. I'd be like, no.
And there's the snowcap mushroom, which is poisonous.
So one thing that does bug me a little bit about the scene, and I guess it is kind of explained by the fact that she is heavily wounded. How does Taigen not realize that Mizu is a female?
That's something I'm asking throughout the whole show. I'm like, there's like and when they still don't know. I mean, spoilers.
I think that's my biggest beef with the show, if I can even call it that. It's like
figures it out, right?
Like no one realizes that she's a girl despite having a female voice, but like that's just a result of like casting and whatever.
Don't lie, and neither do the shoulders. You can always tell based on their shoulders.
But like she's got a female voice, and everyone calls her ugly, but it's just like she's not ugly though.
No.
It's weird.
Well, here's the thing. Here's the thing about that. The Japanese, like the average height would have been what, 5'1" back then, 1600s for the Japanese. Mizu, she is probably, I would say, 5'1", 5'2", let's say. I think she's like Taigen's probably, I think, a little taller, probably sitting around 5'5", 5'6", maybe.
Yeah.
And she's 5'6". So like, and the females are drastically smaller, right? They're going to be probably in the 4 feet range to 5'1" at the most, right?
Serious?
Right.
Yes.
Oh
yeah, because Europeans, like if you go back in the 1600, Europeans were like 5'1", 5'2", 5'3". They weren't very big.
No, they weren't.
I'd go back in time and be a giant. I'm not even that tall. You know?
Yeah, you would. That's the average heights back then. So, her being the same height as Taigen would, like, they would be like, well, okay, she's slim, no hips, right? Because of that European mix, plus the same height as a strong male, a samurai, wannabe shogun. So it would just it kind of throws you off, and I think they would be fooled by that a little bit. I get what you're saying, but there's features there that also show femininity, and you kind of question that as well. So
yeah,
true.
Well, Asian men tend to be kind of androgynous as well. No offense, I mean, something like that. But also, I mean, I think the thing is, it reminds me of that movie, that 80s movie. She's one of the guys, just one of the guys.
Yes.
Where she's like pretending to be a male from a different high schooler, and she like becomes best friends with a dude, and it's like he never suspected. Anyway, same thing.
Yeah.
I think there is also that pure like cultural factor where no one could conceive of a woman like acting or conducting themselves the way that Mizu does, so they just, it's just, wow, that's a very girly dude. And they would just sort of accept it.
Can't be a woman. He kicked my ass in the first episode.
But like, if they just like, I'm not advocating to like redesign the character or anything and make her ugly, but it definitely would have helped explain it a little better if she was like less feminine looking. You know what I mean? But anyway, it's a nitpick. Definitely.
Maybe these guys are just so not used to being around a woman. Maybe that's the problem with them. It's their fault. Because the bad guy. I mean, spoilers. I mean, some people do figure it out pretty quickly. So maybe these guys just don't know the intricacies of what separates physically a man and a woman. I don't know. Like I said, I could just look at a guy shoulders up and be like, I could tell.
Well, Korea gets a little gray. I got that. Anyway.
Mizu awakens, takes the blade to Taigen's throat. He's writing up a contract for Duel, and he's asking, basically saying, you have 2 days, and I'll give you 3 days to heal, so you should be healthy enough to have this duel, so I can get my honor back and come back with your body and show everyone that I killed you in the duel. Mizu agrees to this. And as they're talking about this, we get, a character entering, and it's the, where is he? As they're talking about this, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, sorry. I'm going a little too far ahead. So, they're agreeing to this contract that they're going to duel in 3 days.
This is where he makes fun
of his
haircut. She makes fun of his haircut. She's like, I like your haircut.
Yes. And then they start training, and Ringo is, worried about his master. She's watching Taigen train and practice, and then Mizo's saying, I think she makes a comment here about he's good, but he's not great. Like she knows, she can see the weaknesses in his style, I guess.
Right.
And then we get to this scene coming up here. Again, this is the color we see in the beginning. So everything is just like kind of this color throughout this whole, I think, for the first 38 minutes, I think. They're training, and then you hear the sound of a warrior show up, and he's telling them he has to come with them for a tea party, and they're questioning. Yeah, go ahead, Amateur.
He might actually be 6 foot.
Yeah, which like is intimidating, right? So like back then, it's like he's built to be the ultimate fighter, the ultimate warrior, or whatever you want to call it. Not the wrestler or the UFC,
Yeah.
but like he would be heavily intimidating to the Japanese at that time. He would be the one to be security or like for a high profile nobleman or lord or whatever, right? But just based on his size alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the
Well, I
tank
like how-
versus two rogues.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, she's like all was it later when you're getting invited to the tea ceremony, she's all beaten up, she still gets on that horse without fail. But also that soup that Ringo gives her, it's like he's telling her all the ingredients. It's got this and cod liver and herbs. She doesn't care. She just slurps it down.
Yeah.
And saying he's all honored about that. That was good. Nice character stuff throughout this show.
Yeah, the balance is that's the other thing about this. The balance between the characters, Mizu with Taigen, and then Mizu with Ringo. Like I think Amateur put it perfectly. You saw the Shrek dynamic between Mizu and Ringo, and then you see this kind of like
which one's? Oh, I guess yeah.
Yeah, Mizu's Shrek and Ringo's donkey.
That makes more sense.
Yeah, yeah. And then you see the dynamic between these two, Taigen and Mizu. It's kind of like a Tango and Cash kind of thing, Stallone and Kurt Russell.
Oh my god!
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
good enough.
Yo, what's up, the CLS Studio? Jay Desolate presents Then
the
Game
Game
Awards.
Oh, is that where everyone is right now? Right,
Yeah.
that is today, isn't it?
Cannoli, thanks
what
for
a
dropping
waste
in,
of
brother.
time.
Yeah, the Gooch Samurai. That's right.
The
I'm
blue
not
goose
staying.
samurai. There you go.
Yeah. I'm not staying because of spoilers. Okay,
Yeah.
good, cool. Thanks for dropping by, though, bro.
Tune in
Make
next
sure
week.
to hit that like button before you leave there, bud.
Yeah.
Tip the host.
Exactly. Well, the hosts. Yeah, we're getting into this again. I just watching this episode. The first, like I mentioned, like a few minutes ago, the first 35 minutes at least. It's the color you see in the beginning. It's all throughout this first 35 minutes.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Looks like the weather outside right now where I'm at.
Dude, it was plus 10 here today, so I'm not complaining. Yeah, it was plus 10 here.
I haven't seen the sun in a week, and it's been below zero the whole time. I'm
in Winnipeg, and we're nicknamed Winterpeg, and it's not even close to Winterpeg right now.
Yeah, well, I got 2 inches of snow, man.
You're welcome.
I'm definitely further south than you.
Yeah, and we have nothing but green and warm weather here. Like it's like 0, I think, right now. So yeah, we're the fun thing about this too is like the responses by Mizu compared to Taigen when it comes to this guy's how you put it, like when he was telling him this is to follow him to go to this tea party, and Mizu's yeah, okay, let's go do this. Like
yeah, and Taigen's like, what are you friggin' crazy?
Yeah,
and she's like,
it's a
well,
trap.
and
You're supposed
any
to fight
path,
me in 3 days.
yeah, any path that leads me to my enemy is the one I need. So yeah, I'm going.
Yeah,
she's basically suicidal, and Taigen has like something to live for. So
right,
you get that.
You could say kamikaze.
Hey.
Yep.
Hey, it's been long enough. Fuck it.
Oh God, Kayla. The only
I was thinking about how crazy it would have been. Do you think about how crazy it would have been if Godzilla -1 came out this weekend? Because today was the anniversary of Pearl Harbor.
Is it actually?
Oh,
yeah,
really?
I guess it is, isn't it?
Imagine if this movie had come out 1 week later. Like, oh.
Oh.
Godzilla -1 was good, by the way.
Yes, I want to go see it. So yeah, let's get into this.
That's a big joint. Oh wait, never mind.
It reminds me of the classic fake out with I think Ace Ventura When Nature Calls did a good one where like the big dude comes in and then he like turns around and there's like the little guy that Tommy Davidson comes out of the backpack and you're like, oh, I gotta fight him. Same thing with this giant dude. He was like, message for a tea ceremony, tea party.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Okay. Maybe she just
Yeah.
really likes tea. That's why she hops on the horse. She's like, I need a cup of tea. Big time. I'm going.
Yeah. Actually,
What
I
kind
think she even
of
mentions
right
something
now?
like that. Later on, she says like, I'm thirsting
Yeah, they're
for
like surprised there's actually a tea,
yeah.
like a tea meet, and she's like, "Oh, you know what? I'm actually in the mood for tea. This is excellent."
I'd take a good chai tea or no, Earl Grey hot. Yeah.
There you go.
So yeah, Taigen's reading the invitation that was given by. We never get this guy's name, by the way. Like,
Yeah,
I don't even
starts
think
with
he has a name on
or
the
something.
Wikipedia page.
yeah.
Maybe. Let's see here. What's this big dude's name? Maybe.
So he's got horses and ready for them, and let me know if you find something, Stupenzo.
Nah, I think he's just
Uh,
the heavy.
just big guy.
We'll just call him
So they're traveling. Everyone, Ringo, Taigen, Mizu, and the big Japanese
Bodyguard.
call him bodyguard. Yeah. The scenes are great. The dialogue is fantastic because there's a scene coming up here. Yeah, they're talking this interaction. It's funny because the interaction between these two is just like he would say the sky's blue and she would say no, it's white or black or whatever. They just don't want to agree on anything. And then later on you get the conversation between oh well, okay, never mind. But the conversation between him and Ringo is more comical. It's
Yeah, he's like,
lighthearted.
I'm on a horse. He's like, left horse,
Yeah.
right horse. He's just so happy to be alive, and these two are like completely miserable and basically just
Mhm.
staring down the barrel of like this path that they're on that's either gonna be this horrible trap or they need to run away from it and they can't agree. This shot though, man, that looks like
Yeah.
photo real.
She says to her, revenge will not hesitate or whatever. It does not hesitate. But at the same time, it's like, he's like, obviously it's a trap. I mean, tea.
Mm-hmm. And again, the color scheme, everything is like that color in the beginning of the episode.
Bleak.
Very bleak and cold. So now we're getting into back to Akemi and Sakai, and he again makes a comment about pigs, and she gets upset because why do men always want to mention pigs when it comes to description of me or talking about me?
It's the second time.
Yeah,
those stories are very good. The first one was about
Yes.
feeding pigs too much sugar. And this one where you have to, some crazy guy felt sorry for the pigs and let them go, and then they all went screaming into the woods and got eaten by wolves or starved to death. And then a lot of people didn't get bacon. It was sad.
yeah, and then the village starved because there was no meat, no pork, no nothing. Yeah. So Akemi's talking about it changing her path, and this is where you could potentially say this is kind of a wokish moment because he's talking about you know life is set up for her and she has to follow that path, and she's like, why do I have to follow that path? I can choose my own path, and I'm going to choose my own path. And she gets a little upset with Sakai here because she's starting to realize that he's been setting her up.
Yeah,
He's setting her up through his father. Yeah,
the show does that a lot where like you think it's going in a certain direction, it's like, oh, here we go, here's where that pandering woke shit starts, and it's like, nope, subvert, like right at the last second, like right before you think it's giving in.
4 episodes, I was like, I don't like where this is going. I don't like what I'm
then it flips on its head and you're like, oh fuck, okay, this is way more interesting than I thought it was gonna be.
I mean, to basically be more specific about what we're talking about, it's like anything that is like super anti-white hetero male patriarchy, whatever. And then the other thing you notice, like I said earlier, like the crime for existing, like existence is a crime. Life, I didn't sign up to be on this earth type stuff. Another thing is this, like, I don't need no man type stuff. Also, no kids, no families, no one settling down and procreating. Everyone, a lot of debauchery, like we see later. Like, enforced, not enforced, but just like encourage hedonism. A lot of that stuff like peppered into the show, but it's done well. So it's like, gets a pass.
And it's funny that we call it woke because there's so much of it that's like so anti-woke. Because it's like you look at Akemi, which is like, you're almost like Mulan kind of character. She wants to carve out a new path. She doesn't want to be a girl. And it's like, no. You have two choices. Either you get married off or you become a whore. And it's like, that's so not, in line with that whole Panderverse sort of like the message mentality. And then you get Mizu, who's like that Mary Sue type character. And it's like, no. We're going to take what you think is a Mary Sue and we're going to completely subvert it. But we're going to set it up like it is at the beginning without explaining too much. But we're going to slowly chip away that expectation and create like a well-rounded, like well-justified character, which is excellent. The show does it in many different ways. Yeah, Ringo does need a spin-off.
He does need a spin-off show.
He's one of my favorites for sure. And I gotta say, the actress, I know it's like obvious, like to our male ears, like as soon as Mizu talks in the first episode, it's like, oh, okay, it's a woman. Nobody else can see no, but I do gotta say the actress who plays her, if you guys have seen Pen 1-5, that first season, hilarious, very funny show.
Are you talking about Brenda Song?
No, Brenda Song. She's Macaulay Culkin's wife, right? No, the main girl who plays Mizu,
Maya Erskine.
Right.
Erskine.
She was in a show, a weird comedy show on Hulu that I saw the first season of called Pen 1-5 or Penis.
Yes.
That show was funny as hell.
Well, were you in the Pen 15 club?
Yeah, Pen 15, is that what everyone calls it? Yeah, I get it. I don't know. The thing is, the show, like you said, it's like got these little elements that would appease to these people, but then at the end, the message is like, nope, doesn't work. Like it's not.
Yeah, here's reality, which is like missing from so much shit these days.
Yeah, like if this
you're seeing the entitlement of this character, and then reality kicks in here. And yeah, go ahead, Enzo. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, if this Brenda Song character, if she was like, somehow like being coaxed into the position of like emperor or something, or shogun or general, like that is what more in line of what we were come to expect this day and age. It's just like the show can't be predictable, and it's like at this point, it's like, okay, I think I know where this is going, and it's like it doesn't go there. So you're like, okay, cool,
Yeah, and like unlike Game of Thrones, they don't undo like character work and they don't undo themes in order to subvert. In fact, it's actually the opposite. They build their characters more and they expand on themes.
But then again, what's to say in a year from now?
I said it first. Sorry, bud. I love you.
What's to say? Like, hopefully, in a year, we're not doing this again, talking about how disappointed we are with season 2. That happens far too often.
Yeah, if Arcane season 2 sucks, I'm gonna be really pissed off.
Yeah, me too. That's my worry.
Especially when there's like a big long wait.
It's like that with comics, right? You get the first book, everything's great, or the first movie, everything's great. Second one totally flips into a different direction, and it's just a big waste of time.
It's like The Matrix
most of the time.
One of my favorite fucking movies ever, and the sequels suck ass compared to the first one.
In the theater with like a date, and I remember like in the rave scene in the old Earth rave cave scene. I remember like me and her just kind of like looked at each other like, what the fuck is this, dude?
Yeah, Zion is like some shitty 90s rave, and it's like, yeah, this sucks.
Well, it's like that what was that Riff Tracks joke, how like Godfather syndrome, all these other movies they're sucking in part 3, like X-Men and Spider-Man and other Terminator, but Matrix was boldly going where no one else had gone and sucking in part 2. They got
Yeah, because throughout the 80s and 90s, part 2 was almost the better one. Terminator, the second one's great. Back to the Future, the second one's great.
The first one and Bound, those were directed by men, and all the movies after that were directed by women. So, but Bound is so good. I think I like Bound just as much as The Matrix, if not more, considering like what they had to work with. God.
Wait, are you saying that female directors aren't good? How dare you?
Well, this is coming off the heels of Brie Larson calling out the director Nia DaCosta for her awful
right.
work. So yeah, interesting. So yeah, we're getting back to this. Like, we're seeing Akemi like realize like life isn't exactly what she thought it is. She's actually facing reality here outside of the temple, Sakai is protecting her, telling her to run off. She thinks, oh, he's going to protect me, I can just run off. Well, that's not the case. Like, she runs off, and he's like, making a threat that I forget the last time I killed a guy, and they're all like looking at this guy like what? And then she's running, and then the girl that was part of the group, she catches Akemi and just beats her, punches her, or it was a punch, I think she punched her, right? And
well, she tackles her. Yeah,
tackles her.
I think it was like a forearm elbow thing. I'm having a hard time remembering it now.
No, she steals that little bag of coin purse or whatever off of her, and then she slaps her with it in the face.
But it was kind of like, do you know who I am or whatever? It's like, yeah, I don't give a shit.
She's lucky I'm not a man, is what she says to her.
Yes, that's what it is. Yeah. Okay, right. Nice reality check for our entitled little pig.
She throws her shoe at her, and then she's like, now give me that other shoe.
And I'll go back again to the color again from the beginning. It just stands out to me like throughout the whole thing, and like that's why I'm watching the beginning with that title. Like, the color indicates the show. I love everything that they do about this, the little Easter eggs that they hide in this.
And I would like to point out Akemi has 2 new lines on her face.
Yes.
Now she's worried. So she's got, what would you call that? The sort of frown.
Worry lines.
There you go.
Yeah, the furrowed brow.
Because first episode, she has no facial lines whatsoever, just lips and eyes. Second episode, she has a nose. Third episode, now she's worried. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, also George Takei playing this guy. Man.
Perfect casting.
Yeah, I guess. I'm just like bewildered how like Kirk, William Shatner seems to be the only cast member of Star Trek that isn't kind of a dick. It's very disillusioning. Being on Twitter is kind of a problem because you like don't meet your heroes type thing.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of when I first started on Twitter, I was following all kinds of celebrities. I have removed every single one. They're all dicks. Cool. I'll never look at Mark Hamill and Tom Hanks the same way ever again.
It is cool being able to tell people like Stephen King, like, shut up, idiot. Whatever. I read
then they block you.
I read it. I don't. Your opinion's discarded. All right.
Yeah, you peaked at Shawshank Redemption. Chill out.
We all read that freaking sewer scene. All right. We all know what I'm talking about. No, whatever that is.
So, this scene is really well done too. Really good writing here, where she's like, "Oh, so just like the pigs, like you were mentioning, you were saying the bad luck is like happened, and because he was warning her, and then she's like, "Oh, look, a strike of luck here." You were saying there's Sakai, and then they go to the back, and and they're literally sitting in.
If one god forsakes you, another one will help you. And then that great reveal. It's like punchline. I mean, obviously you have to take the ride also because it's like remote and she has no shoes and it's snowy. So
I would like to point out one little tidbit about this too. So they originally want to go to Kyoto, and Akemi's just like, no. I want to go to Mionoseki. So I looked it up. Yeah. She's asking this dude to go literally like 150 kilometers out of his way to bring this bitch to some coastal town that means nothing to anyone.
Don't worry, we'll get there in a few days.
The fact that he drops them off in the opposite direction is, it sort of explains that a little bit.
He's probably
which
just
I thought was kind of neat.
I'll just take this gold thing you gave me for free and just drop you off where I was going anyway.
Yeah. You could almost call that taking them for a ride.
Ballgate
I mean,
won tonight.
I've been in worse ride shares. And
Baldur's
cabs,
Gate
honestly.
won Game of the Year.
Yeah.
No fucking surprise there.
Yeah.
Oh, Baldur's Gate 1? Holy God.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Does that surprise anyone? Not me.
No.
I haven't
No.
even played it, but
No.
just from what I've heard.
Yeah.
So this is the one
Fair.
thing I like. It's horse shit or manure or whatever you want to call it. But there's flies. It's winter and there's flies hovering around.
That is a
You'd be
thing.
surprised how-
That is a
how
thing
resilient-
because poo
That
is
is a
super
thing?
warm. It is a thing.
Oh wow. Wow.
It can be minus 30 and the poo gives off so much heat that you actually have like flies and shit.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah, dude.
Okay.
You'd be surprised how resilient some of these insects like cockroaches and flies are. You think, oh, they all die in the winter, right? Mosquitoes and shit? Sometimes no.
Nah, man, we'll be in the
Amazing.
middle of February, have like a warm spell, and then bang, you got mosquitoes, and it's like, what the fuck?
Motherfuckers.
Okay, there's a line here that I absolutely love.
I-
Taigen kind of.
I got it.
Go ahead.
They
You
scattered-
have it? Yeah, go ahead.
I wrote it down because I thought it was
Me too.
cool.
Yeah, me too.
Nerd alert.
Go ahead there, amateur.
Okay, I wrote it down too,
Yeah.
guys.
They scattered white flowers on the Buddha, and the flowers they scattered were piled as high as Mount Simeru.
Yes, that was a
And
powerful line.
I'm assuming that's the mountain,
Yeah,
but
The
Little
mountain they're
piece
looking
of-
at.
super old Japanese poetry, I guess.
Is it a haiku?
Which is- Is it a haiku?
Yeah, I don't
Could
know,
be.
dude. I can't
No,
say.
it's not. It's not. That would make sense though, because they invented the haiku, didn't they? The Japanese, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I would assume
believe
so
so.
because it's called
Either
haiku.
Jamaican,
So,
it's either Japanese or Hawaiian. I'm just kidding.
I don't know. Every time I assume something like that, I'm usually wrong.
It's Japanese, I'm sure of it.
oh, we're getting called out. Great survival tip. Nerds. Yes, we are. Definitely yes on it.
Nerds is spelled with an E, not a U.
Yeah. So yeah, Taigen is giving some, that little message there, that haiku, whatever you want to call it, and again, you're seeing Mizu just like, I don't care, and then he falls back and he starts riding with, well, he's talking to Mizuhu and trying to get a take on her, and he's talking about Kahoma, growing up and how he escaped the net, that his dad was a fisherman and he's escaped the net of a fisherman to become a great warrior. It was either being a fisherman or a warrior or samurai, and he chose to escape the net and become a great samurai.
I do like the imagery we get here when he's describing his past, because like they bring it back to like the smell of cod on his fists, and he could smell it like during his funeral or whatever. And I always think that's cool. Like if you can give, like, especially in writing, because like I do novel writing, if you can sell a scene, you want them to know, like, is it hot? Is it cold? Like, what's the temperature? Give them a smell. Give them like some kind of like physicality to the imagery. And I think they do a great job of that here. And that whole line of like, I could become like my father, or I could cut my way free from the net. I think that's like, I would say Taigen's one of the weaker characters in the story, but that's an excellent little piece for him, because I feel like this episode is very much his episode. You know, like they're trying to build him up the most in this one, whereas like all the other characters are sort of being cut down in a sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna get back to that later on when you're talking about how they built him up, and it's obvious for a reason. Yeah. So go ahead.
Fisherman father story about how like his father, if he got enough fish, he would drink his fill, and if he didn't, he'd beat the shit out of them, and you could smell cod on his fists, and he smelled like cod all the way up to his deathbed or whatever. But he could suffer from trimethylaminoria, which is where you have a condition that makes you sweat, breathe, and smell pee. It smells like fish. If you guys watch The Holdovers, that was a reference to that.
I was about to say, holy
just-
fuck, man. Chill with your PhD words.
He could just be one of those guys like the dude from Holdovers, where he just like one of those humans that smells fishy. It's a thing.
Hey.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, like the each scene is done so well here. Like this artwork is just amazing. Like the guys at Blue Spirit really knock out of the park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look really closely at anything, they're super simple. But like when you step back and sort of just like look at it as one, sort of like not portrait. What's the word I'm looking for? Like if you just look at the landscape as a whole, those little simple elements. Like you look closely at the trees, it's just a bunch of stamps of like the same sort of like bit of foliage element, but like the way it's put together, it creates this beautiful, realistic thing. I just find that fascinating. Also, another thing I didn't notice until this episode, the animators really gave themselves a fucking hard job by giving her transparent glasses. Because I had to look this up. No one's actually done that before, really. Transparent glasses in a 2D anime. I haven't seen it. I haven't been able to find another example. Because like think about it. It's really fucking hard. Like from a perspective point of view, like what part of her face are you seeing through the glasses? It all has to be recolored. It has to be like it's almost like a separate pass for what you see through the glasses. It's kind of crazy. They gave themselves a really hard job when they made that creative
what you're
decision.
Talking about, yeah, like I mean, you've seen characters with glasses before, like in the Page Master or
yeah, but they're
Atlantis,
opaque.
but
they're always opaque.
Like, the frames. It's the frames, and then they're like see through, you know, and then they'll be
or they're reflective, which is a whole other can of worms. But this, you're seeing through them, which I find kind of fascinating because sometimes you're not just
rose-colored lenses. Is that another metaphor?
When it gets really complicated when you see pieces of the background, like if she's looking like an angle off camera and you can see the background through the glasses, like that's a lot of work they made for themselves, man, just by making those glasses see-through. But like it does add, it is necessary, I think.
Did you guys ever see the movie Six String Samurai?
I don't think I have.
It's like Australian 90s movie about a Guy Pearce looking guy running around the wood forest, the outback with a guitar and a sword killing people. It's got Tank Girl vibes. Check it out.
I remember something like that, and it was so long ago. I'll probably have to watch that again because
that's one of those good like super low budget movies that's cool to watch. It has a great soundtrack and shit.
I have not seen
Blue, it. Getting back to this, we're at camp. They're camping for the night, and then again you get to see the, I guess who has who has a bigger dick kind of competition here, and you're there constantly saying, I could beat you doing this, I could beat you doing that, I could beat you with any weapon, and then Mizu says, I can beat you with, and then picks up a chopstick and just throws it, and he catches it, and he's kind of shocked that like she has the ability to do it that fast.
Three Stooges kind of.
Yeah. And then
the ego thing,
the eye gouge, yeah. And then you got Ringo, who's kind of like the third stooge, like stop fighting, guys, like mom and dad fighting. He doesn't like it.
Yeah. And then they're battling, and then he Taigen hits the wound of Mizu. She gets another flashback. She gets enraged, and then she overpowers him and takes the chopstick. And it looks like she's gonna like punch through his skull with a chopstick, and she stops. And then you see this scene here, which there was a lot of flashbacks between the two because like Taigen, you saw him get enraged, get emotional, and lose his composure. And then you see Mizu lose her composure, and then it kind of ends with this, which I really enjoyed. I like that because the Japanese always talk about keeping your composure, keeping calm, and watching your enemy, always looking and seeking the weak spots. So they're showing their weaknesses here by allowing their emotions take over. And then the other part here is like I think Taigen kind of starting to realize, like, because they're rolling down the hill there and they're looking each other's eyes. I think he's starting to maybe question if she is a male, or is she a male, or is like Is she female?
Maybe he's starting to question whether he's gay.
that too.
Something strange happening in my pants that I don't like. I don't like this.
There's another chopstick in my pants. Yeah. So like it's very well done the way they do it here. Because like I was like, oh no, where are they going with this? Is this going to be like a love story? This but they don't go that route.
Well, I do appreciate that. I mean, spoilers. Mizu is hetero, or at the very least bisexual. But yeah, she's into men. So there is this kind of like you see it in some of these movies and other shows. Like the only example I can think of right now is the stupid Daredevil Ben Affleck basketball scene. But this idea of like flirting, fighting, I don't know. It's got this will they, won't they type attitude. Are they going to kill each other? Or are they going to do the deed? I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah. So then we move on right here, like you're looking at each other's eyes. And I think he's starting to have, doubts here.
Yeah.
And then Ringo kind of chimes in, is just like, I'll get the stitches.
Yeah, because her wounds like open up again. And like that's the problem with fighting, guys. It doesn't really solve anything. It just causes more problems. Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, you get this round, which is 2 rounds, technically, if you want to, keep track. I just love the scenery done in this series. It's just done amazing. Just amazing work. Like it's just, I can't believe like the work they put into this.
They didn't have to, but they did.
This dialogue exchange between these two, Ringo and Taigen.
Taigen.
This scene is great. Yeah.
Yeah, like he's just saying, like, why do you waste your time, spending time with someone like that where you can be with me and become great.
You could come work for me. It's like, I could never work for you. I've always dreamt of greatness.
Yeah. And he's like, you can work for me in the kitchen. And he's like, what? No, I'm loyal to my master. And he's like, he's kind of stunned. He's taken back by this, right?
Did you guys bring up like Kung Fu Panda at all, talking about Ringo in the last 2 streams?
He does kind of
episode 1.
Yeah, he does kind of give those vibes, but it's not really the same thing. There's definitely parallels, but like I don't think it's similar enough.
This guy would rather go with his master and learn to fight and do cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, he wants to help greatness because he's sort of like realized that he might not be, that chosen one, whatever.
He's like that hunchback in the 300 movie.
He understands his limitations. Yeah.
Well, I think everything here is all based on trauma. Like I mean, it was the time, obviously, right? But like Taigen talking about his father beating him with those fish smell fists. You got obviously Mizu, having flashbacks about her history with, obviously the house burning down and everything, her mother and all that. And then you have Ringo, which we learn in episode 1 and throughout that he was treated very poorly. So you got 3 characters that are heavily traumatized as kids, and they're still
traumatized as a kid in this day and age.
Well, that's what I mean. But they're all trying to find a path. Like even if I bet you if we had a time machine and go back, everyone was kind of already set. Like nowadays, we can change careers. We can if I quit my job, could be a writer or an artist or a musician or whatever, a professional YouTube or whatever. Back then, it was either get married or become a prostitute.
Yeah,
for a woman.
But then if you're a guy, you do what your dad does, or that's about it.
Yeah, and I think Ringo says it here. Like he mentioned something like the 4 categories of jobs for men, and that's it. Like artisan, samurai, a chef, or I don't think he says chef, but it was some other job similar to that. And then there was, you become a great nobleman or something like that. No, it was something to do with money, finances, something like that. I can't remember the term.
It's the 4 paths, right? There's the farmer, the artisan, the merchant, and the warrior.
Yeah, it looks 3D. It's amazing all the work here that they do for this stuff.
I do have a little tidbit about this scene as well. Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I'll just read this in the. All wars deep down, it's just love for each other. Russia and the U.S. actually dig each other. Okay, interesting.
But I do have a cool little tidbit. So as Ringo and Taigen are sort of shooting the shit, Ringo's like, I give every coin I ever collected into the Seiyusen box with a prayer on it. So the Seiyusen box is this little wood box used to collect offerings. It's a real thing. Yeah, I have a little tidbit from Wikipedia. Used to collect offerings, a Seiyusen box is typically a wooden coin box with a grate for the top cover. This design allows for coins to be tossed in while preventing the money from being retrieved easily.
Piggy bank.
Yeah, it's like this weird little like trippy box that they leave out in public, and you sort of like make offerings and prayers to, and it's I don't know if it's a spiritual thing. It's sort of like tied to the same sort of like luck system as the as that ceremony in episode 2. I forget what it's called, but it's usually for coins. It's like small donation kind of thing. It's sort of the equivalent of like the wishing well.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I thought that was kind of neat that they made that they included that. Just shows that they did a shit ton of research. And the fact that one of the co-writers was Japanese probably had something to do with that.
Yeah. Then we're getting to the cavern here, and this leads into again the colors. Like even if I went back, like the colors, like that same color scheme from the beginning, right? So you see this throughout. So now we're getting the tavern entrance, and he's saying you must go in. Taigen confronts the big bodyguard name. We don't have a name for this guy here. He's just the big oaf, and he's saying, "I'm going in. I have a contract to duel him. If he's not going to die, he's only going to die by my hands." That's
in a no one gets to kill him except for me. Me first.
And then Ringo tries to go in. He's like, "No." And then he's like, "Oh, you can talk." The humor that they place on this. It's great because like it's just like it's like an intense scene, and then all of a sudden you get a little bit of humor right there.
Yeah, comic relief.
Great. Yeah, that cavern looks like my gooch. Nice.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sharp and jagged.
I said, "Geez, you got a big gooch. Geez, you got a big gooch." Why'd you say that twice? Because the echo. Predator jokes. They never get old.
So they're walking through, and he's like saying, "This is a trap." He's, basically warning Mizu throughout this.
Dude, all the best T spots are in icy caverns. Okay, icy chasms in the earth. I'm kidding, obviously. Sorry.
I know. I got sidetracked by something. No.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. So they're coming through, and lo and behold, it's a tea party, and so
it's a nice setup too.
Let the tea bagging begin, or the tea party begin.
Hey.
So so now we go back to Akemi and
embracing the shit.
Yeah,
she like inhales like a huge like mouthful of like shitty fumes and wakes her up or whatever.
Yeah. And he went way past Kyoto, and he's just like, you can walk back. And again, Sakai is like, telling her this is the path. Like, and then he does something to reveal himself here, and it's the coin. And so all trust is lost because Akemi is like, you never believed in me ever. You're just were grooming me to become this shogun's wife, the son of a shogun, his wife, and she's like very hurt by it, and she's infuriated by it, and she's like, I'm not even gonna bother listening to you anymore, and I'm gonna go and do my own thing now. Any comments there?
Yeah, he's sort of like, you're not a child anymore. You have to see things for the way they are. He's sort of like trying to wake her up to the reality of her situation. Meanwhile, I kind of like the parallel here, because Seki has this like sort of like ulterior motive,
Yeah.
and she does as well, or at least she develops it now. So like they're in a way underestimating each other, or they're like hiding something from the other, and we definitely see that with Akemi moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
She has a lot more
Yeah.
agency than Seki sort of gives her credit for, even though he kind of should know, because like, he kind of raised her. He should realize how intelligent she is or how capable. But
Well,
it
this
does
is also
make sense because they don't see it in each other. But go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is the first time you actually in this episode here where you actually hear George Takei come out in the voice. Where the first two episodes, you knew it was George Takei, but he was doing more of an acting role. Here you can hear the typical George Takei voice here in this
Monologue.
episode.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean, he
don't know
does
if
a
you
little
felt that.
through on her, you know. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
definitely like recognizing a lot of voices throughout the show. I'm one of those OCD guys where like I have to pull up IMDb, especially on animated shows, because I'm like it bothers me throughout the whole show. It's better if I just know going in whose voices are who, because I
I
can't tell
love
you like
guessing.
90% of this.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
me
at the
too.
same
I
time,
like
I'm
guessing.
like, who is this person? Ugh.
If I can't figure it out, it'll bug the shit out of me until I look it up, though.
Yeah, Kemi is now choosing to leave Sakai and go on her own path. She's going into the and this is interesting because now she's like in this hut. This guy's like pouring
tofu.
Goro.
Is it tofu?
No, he says your feet are so soft. Tofu. That's what he says.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, what? Like, how's he? So yeah, he's pouring. So he's like pouring. I'm assuming warm water all over her feet, and then she's just like obviously using him to get what she needs. And interesting dialogue between him and her. And then she's looking at Sakai saying, "See, I can do this without you." And he's not buying into this.
Yeah, he's like, you have no idea what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah, exactly.
Which she doesn't, but she's also smart enough to sort of like weasel her way through it, which we see later. But I love I love the line we get here, because she's like, "Oh, this is just one of my like fans following me around," and he's like, "Take your shriveled old dick and go cry for some other girl." And it's like, that's beautiful.
It's very like Amaranth channeling some kind of like Twitch
Amaranth,
thought,
dear God, yeah, she's got her like,
and she's got her lackeys.
Amaranth. Oh my God, she's very quick though. Like with Akemi, she's very quick to adapt to her surroundings.
Yeah,
depending on the scene. But
this is something I touched on in the first episode. But like, we obviously have an A plot and a B plot in this show, right? And the main character of your A plot is obviously Mizu, and then Akemi's for the B plot. And it's almost like they're both, like, for lack of a better term, strong female characters in two completely different senses, right? Like, Akemi's the more traditional female, and we're starting to see her, use those qualities. Like, what does it mean to be a strong female, but, like, not manly? You know what I mean? Because, like, every time Hollywood tries to write a strong female, they give them masculine traits. Whereas here, we're seeing what the feminine version of that looks like. And I think it's done excellently.
Yeah. I mean, the male power fantasy is to be, doing the rescuing and get the girl at the end and, punch the terrorist in the plane. And women just want to be like, the object, special, they want to be the objects of affection or desire, the center of attention. They want, that tends to be the common theme with these,
That's how we're wired, man.
Yeah.
I like
it. So she's like obviously going off to find Taigen, but this guy's unaware of her intentions. So then now we're getting into the actual tea party here, and then we're watching him make this is green tea, is it not? What kind of tea is he making here? Like it's a green.
Oh, no idea.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Probably green. That's what Kayla was saying. It's green tea. It's like
green tea.
probably.
Yeah, Kayla saying.
Not trying to stereotype, but yeah, those Japanese people love their green tea, man.
Man, I absolutely love the dialogue in this scene, though. It like reminds me of early Game of Thrones.
Yes.
Like
Yes,
there's all these, like the coolest part about it is Haji Shindo. Like you expect him to be like lying and like trying to set them up and get ahead, and
Yeah.
but he doesn't. Everything he says is true. It's actually crazy. He's like even when he sets up something to be a misdirection, he ends up correcting himself and says the truth right after it. It's pretty fascinating. I love that about this scene. It's almost like they did it on purpose just to like show off.
I think it's some kind of like matcha powder green tea. Yeah, they got like the mortar and pestle with the green powder. But yeah, this gigantic kettle is impressive.
Yeah, and even
huge
Mizu
pot.
comments on it. Yeah, even Mizu comments on it. Nice iron.
How much tea do you drink, motherfucker? Jesus.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you
Well,
would comment on the ironwork because she does
Yes.
know something about that, being a
Yes.
swordsmith. So she would
Oh, yeah.
appreciate like, the little subtleties in it.
But also the fact that people were making this kind of awesome stuff like, 500 years ago, it just kind of makes modern architecture and design. Like when you have your crappy teapot that breaks after a few years. You're just like, man, we can make better things. We just choose not to.
Well, it's like
this
people always like cut, like they don't give enough credit to like some ancient civilizations. Like when you look at like Roman aqueducts, which were made, a couple thousand years ago, that basically took water from the mountains and filtered it and gave water pressure and plumbing to like people living in like 100 AD, or like the pyramids where they were the tallest standing human-made structure until the Eiffel Tower in like the late 1800s. It's like, fuck, man. Like we were capable of doing so much shit back then. Like what happened? We just fell asleep for 1,000 years.
It's like I said earlier with like, if you could kill someone with your chair, awesome. Same thing with your teapot. If I could beat you over the head with a teapot and kill you and my teapot's not even dented, hell yeah, that's a good teapot, man. It's
You ever
solid
watch
iron.
wrestling? You can't kill someone with a modern chair.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Those chairs like
this
explode.
Barely
Yeah.
a minor inconvenience.
This is an interesting scene. How he says we don't hide anything here. There's no lies here, or there's no hidden
secrets
lies
here.
Yeah, no secrets here. And she just removes her glasses and everything, and like they're just kind of showing each other, basically like what they have, like what you got. This is what I got. Like we're ready to do this. Like, and it's interesting because like Taigen's like questioning everything, and they're just sitting there, basically telling each other the truth.
Yeah,
like,
Taigen is the only person here that's actually like being rational about it, because it's like, yes, this is a super high risk situation. You should absolutely be, fearful of the other's intentions. Whereas like these two, they're almost operating on like a different level, like they know more. But the way I looked at, there's no secrets here. She takes off her glasses and kind of reveals who she is. Like there's two ways you can look at that. You could see it as like a mutual respect thing, which could be evident of their culture, but you could also see it as like, okay, there's no way either of us are leaving here without one of us dying. So secrecy doesn't matter anymore. And I thought that was kind of neat. And they don't like beat you over the head with it. They don't have to spell it out. It's just evident through these subtle little character interactions, which, just adds to the scene. It's such a great little sequence.
And we see the flower here.
And there's the flower that
so we'll get to that.
Fowler cut off and pinned to him.
Yeah. So he's offering what was it, 50
50,000 row.
Yeah. Which
Like
I guess
fish row?
was their currency.
RYO.
I gotcha. Okay.
So that was a currency back then, right? Because now it's yen.
It was I had notes on this. Okay, so I'm gonna try to remember what I had written, and I can't find it. But it's basically like the equivalent of like a big ass gold coin. It's like a measurement of weight of gold. So it's
Really?
like it's a fuck ton. So basically, what he's offering her is like the wealth of a fucking city, and he doesn't just offer her 50K in row. They're also going to give her the title, the Lord of Sendai Han, which is like this massive estate that has like lumber, sake, and silk. So
Yes.
she'll be super loaded. This is basically like we're giving you Grey Garden or High Garden or whatever in Game of Thrones. You know, that's like the equivalent. We're giving you like this. We're not just giving you a shit ton of capital. We're giving you like the means to, you know, be a big player in the economics of Japan. Like your name will mean something kind of deal. It's like, it's an insane offer. And it just shows how determined Mizu is on her revenge quest. Like she doesn't give a shit. And she even says like, I don't care about money or power. I have no interest in being happy, only satisfied, which is basically her response.
Yeah.
Thought that was pretty neat.
Also later with the whole thumbs thing, you know, like.
Yeah, that's the assurance that they want from her.
That's where I'm getting into right now, and this is I think he's showing it right here. When they're talking about the terms, he's going to take the right thumb.
To assure me you won't be trying to keep your vendetta against us. We'll take your thumb. It's like, dude, I need my thumb for more than just killing people, dude.
Yeah, wiping my ass. Like
I need it for all kinds of things.
How am I going to play drums without my thumb?
I liked in John Wick where they take your ring finger because it's like you can't really hold a gun too well. Your gripping power's gone. But I mean, I don't know, dude. My thumb, Jesus.
That was a thing in the Wild West days when they were settling, sort of like the the west of the United States. They would cut off your middle finger because you couldn't shoot a bow or a weapon like a rifle or a pistol.
Well, oftentimes,
so that's where the whole thing. That's where the whole like flipping people the bird, like the middle finger, showing them that's where that originated.
Well, the cool thing about losing your middle finger or your index finger is the opposite finger, middle or index, will become your dominant finger again, you know? So like you lose your middle finger, you still have your dominant index finger. If you lose your index finger, honestly, if you had to get a finger cut off, choose your index. Most people don't, but your index is probably the least needed finger, because like your pinky and your ring finger are like that's where all your grip goes into.
Really?
So, yeah,
I would have thought it would be my middle finger. Because if you mow off your middle finger, you can still play Black Sabbath songs on guitar.
Yeah,
you know, like
I mean, I'm not gonna say you're gonna play piano after you lose a finger, but like you'll be able to get by with either your index or your middle finger gone. But if you had to choose, get that index finger. Choose the index finger.
Pinky is a big deal. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you'd be surprised. Like your grip strength in your bottom two fingers. As a drummer, like all your stick fulcrum grip stuff comes from your pinky and your ring finger. So yeah, it's
funny. I don't use my pinky or ring finger at all. I just I pivot off my
fingers out.
Index.
Do you stick your fingers out? Don't do that. Like hold your index, hold your pinky out, like when you play drums, or your ring finger. No,
I don't think so, but I'm basically not using my back fingers almost at all. I'm sort of like of the mentality to get your fingers out of the way because the stick sort of bounces on its own. But anyway, we're talking about
Blue-Eyed Samurai.
Blue-Eyed Samurai.
So yeah, getting back to this, where she declines the offer, and he's basically telling her like he can show her the way inside.
Options. Yeah, there's three options. Like lose your finger, stop, basically promise you won't attack us, or you can get in this barrel of sake and we'll smuggle you in, and you could like do this like assassin job or whatever, or meet this person, I guess. Like go that's what it was. Go meet this person in the sake barrels, or we'll see later. There's like another option.
I would go in the good quality sake barrel, the one that's nice and dry. Personally.
And this is where he gets a little he gets a little dramatic here and throws everything down, and he throws the curtain down here and basically tells her like there's 50 or 500 archers that can their arrows will blind the sun, even though there's really no sunlight really, right now because it's cloud coverage. And then Taigen's like, take the deal, and she's like, no deal. And he's like, this is the part that's interesting. He talks about how, yes, I know why I want you to take out Abijah Fowler. I almost said that wrong. Abijah Fowler is because I hate the man.
Yeah.
20 plus years.
20 years of that face, that stink. Yeah. I hate him. I hate him so much.
Japanese guy. Of course I want him dead. I hate him.
Yeah, and this is another scene that I found interesting too, because now you see more line work that we were talking about earlier in the episode, where the facial work is so simple, but now when you see like the anger or the stress in the characters, you're seeing more lines pop out.
Right. Yeah.
But also, like, back to like Fowler. Like, the idea is like, you're racist towards foreigners and white devils, and but on top of that, Fowler is horrific. He's an asshole. So it's like you're just like enforcing their hatred, for the you're not making them think twice about it.
Yeah, and on top of that, this guy's basically full-time job has been to supply, like, what would you call it, like distractions for this guy, like
exactly,
these horrific fucking little pieces of entertainment for him, which has got to be like taxing both mentally and physically. Yes, the exquisite cut could only be done by a master.
And she knows it wasn't him that did it.
I fucking totally missed this the first time I watched it, and would have been a great setup for Fowler actually being a capable fighter later on, which I missed. And it almost ruined the ending of the season for me. But upon rewatch, because like you get to the end of not to spoil it or anything, but you get to the end of the season and they're like having a hard time fighting this old fat Irish dude. And I missed all the little details that like help explain it along the way, because I sat down and watched the whole thing in one go.
But also like a drunk Irish guy who's like wants you dead. Like, you don't underestimate them, I mean,
what do you mean them?
Irish. I'm part Irish. Hey, my father's German Irish. Yeah, it's like,
Hey, you don't have to be. You're not necessarily racist if you don't want to hang around with Irish people all the time.
There's a difference between racist and racial. All right,
there you go.
Racial humor here. Okay, it's not the same thing. All right.
Pinky toes are the ones you want to keep attached. Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, if you're
you actually can't stand. You can't stand up properly without your pinky toe. Fun fact.
Kayla's like, at least she was given options. And then I'm holding a replica firearm right now, and my pinky isn't essential. LOL.
Wait, aren't you Canadian? I saw you spell humor with a U before, and now you're talking about firearms.
Texting Kayla, I'm uncancelable, okay?
We're just raced realists. Oh, fuck.
Or racist for short. Oh wait, no, that doesn't work. No, don't do that.
So here we go with the setup. This is like, we got like, I think 10 minutes left. 10 minutes exactly. So now, like, the whole episode, we saw Mizu and Taigen basically fight the whole episode, verbally and even physically throughout the whole episode, and you could even say emotionally, because they drew out some emotions when they were battling way back at the camp. So
you could almost say sexually.
You could almost say that. but you're seeing that, right? So now we're getting to this point where Mizu is with Haishi Shindu. She knows.
Before you skip forward, though, just on this frame, sorry to interrupt. The whole thing with like everything being cold. Look at her nose. The coloring they put on her nose. She's cold as fuck. Probably even like sick. I think that's a great detail, and it jumped out at me when I watched this. I thought that was great.
Well, you see that with Akemi too. When she was when she's.
I think they just overall need more layers based on the weather I'm seeing. I got icicles and snow, and it just seems like what they're wearing is pretty light. But I don't know. Could be for some dense fabric, some heavy fabric, but
Well,
I
it
mean,
is southern, so it to them cold could be like +10 to us, or what would be 50 some odd like Fahrenheit for you guys down south.
yeah,
So like
something like that.
that could be
Like
cold. That could be cold for them in Japan. Like their winters can't be as cold as ours because they're in a tropical climate, right?
I don't know.
I think they get pretty cold there.
They
Yeah.
have elevation, so it's like it gets cold, man. Up in those higher mountains, I'm sure. Mount Fuji has always got snow on it, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Year round, there's snow on Fuji.
But they're not wearing like I've never seen in Japan them like during the winter wearing
No, right.
huge parkas.
They don't dress like Eskimos out in Japan ever. Like,
Yeah,
They
they're
do
always
get
yeah.
they do get
sandals.
snow.
They
And it
get
needs to
snow,
be
but they're not dressed like heavily layered for the weather that
Yeah,
like
you're right.
you would think that
no.
would be cold.
Maybe their blood just runs hot. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah.
Just get accustomed to it.
So this is a great scene right here. Haiji's trying to pull a big dick move, and he is like saying that the arrows are going to fly, and he's holding the ribbon and
dropped this
getting angered.
That's-
Yeah.
I do have a
And he's
nitpick for this whole
Go ahead.
we have archers that are out of sight, just a ridiculous amount of archers, like Helm Deep style, just gonna fucking Hail Mary these arrows into this valley. That's a shit insurance policy. Like, you're gonna die, they're gonna die, maybe. Like, why aren't they just there, standing in a line?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's about him. It's about the trust factor, right? Because like he's being honest with her, and she removes her glasses, and she's being honest with him. I think it was just the more of the
It's like a poker
honesty.
game.
I call it a
exactly.
nitpick because visually it is great having this giant hail of arrows from this like unembodied source where it's almost becomes like a force of nature. But like it is like tactically it's stupid, but it works for the story, it works for the character. It makes the scene look really cool. Although it does get a little bit silly when they're in the what would you call it, like the
Cavern.
Cavern.
Yellow crevice.
yeah, the like really tight
mountainside.
canyon, how the arrows are
Yeah.
somehow trickling in there, still having like enough velocity to do damage. That's where it sort of like departs from being realistic-ish, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's what you're going to get with like animation or cartoons, right? You're going to get that like exaggeration and kind of
yeah. I just think it does a bit of
Unrealistic.
disservice because they've put so much effort into like selling this as being realistic that I thought like they should have been home free in the cavern. But like they do make up for it, like Buddy coming in with the horse with the arrows poking out the back and stuff. Like it's very like archaic storytelling. It seems like some old Japanese legend out of history like come to life in anime. Like it is cool, but I feel like a couple little decisions could have been done different to make that a little more realistic, but it's a nitpick. It's not I wouldn't call it a flaw, but it does bug me a little bit.
No, I hear you.
Well, I like that you call back to like, cutting the guy's limb off and the limb falling into a bowl or a pot of something,
It goes into the sake barrel that he tried to get Mizu
Yeah,
to
Actually,
first
it
episode,
hits the edge. It hits the edge and goes outside that sake bowl here.
Right.
It doesn't
Ah.
actually go inside.
But it kind of reminds me of the first episode when she cuts that dude's pinky and ring finger off, or his index and middle finger off. Yeah, that was good.
So yeah, she cuts the arm off, and then indicating that the ribbon is down. And Taigen's like, "Oh, like, great job! Like, you you wounded him." And then reality kicks in of, "Holy shit! Now all these arrows,
I
like,
wasn't
you can hear
bluffing.
the arrows."
He
Yeah,
wasn't lying
He was-
about 500 archers over the hill.
yeah. Great scene. This is
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Pure spectacle.
scene.
Yeah, and also the
Oh.
counting to 8. That's about how long it takes for them to redraw their bows, and then
Yeah.
picking up this huge, shield or gong or whatever that is.
And I love how the arrows that are high up, they're above the rim of the little cliffs there, and they're getting hit by the sun, whereas the ones that are lower are shaded because the sun's not hitting them anymore. That's just
Also,
like
how
that's
you
just
feel
really
weight.
good like artistry because they understand like how shadows in the sun works and they take it all into consideration. It's great.
But also, the animating the characters lifting this heavy gong, like you can feel that gong is like 100. That shield or whatever is like 100 pounds or more maybe. Who knows?
Wasn't that
It's a
just
lot.
the lid of the pot or whatever?
Oh right,
Yeah,
that's what
it's the lid of the
Big
pot.
Teapot.
I love that they showed this. I love that they showed his hand just getting hit by arrows. Like you don't have to show it, but it's just adds to it a little bit. It's just like, oh shit, like
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Put your hand on that wall.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the lid to the pot, and they're taking that, and now they're working together, and they're realizing, in order for us to survive, we got to work together. And then, as they're doing this, they're counting they're counting the time between each drawback for a release of another arrow, and arrows are flying. Like, god dang it!
Luckily, they're
like,
coming
look at
from
that.
one direction.
Yeah.
That's why I called that whole arrow thing kind of a nitpick before, because like especially this aspect of it where it forces them to work together. Like as much as it is a strange tactical move, it does more for sort of like the character narrative than it takes away as like bad tactics, because it's not something that people would even pick up on.
Yeah, another
in the
nitpick
majority
is
of
people. How do they know when to stop firing arrows? I mean, they
Exactly.
go off into the chasm, and then we just keep firing them forever. I mean,
yeah.
just fire.
Well,
I mean,
that's
do
why
they
it's a
keep
bit
firing arrows long after the scene ends.
There's got to be a scout, like
Oh yeah, there's definitely a scout, because how would they have
scout,
seen? Yeah, how would they have seen the red ribbon fall?
Yeah.
Right. Like there's
So now there's an arrow shot here at camp where the big
Not a good sign.
bodyguard guy. It's like, oh
yeah,
that's
but
not
he's already
good.
eaten the snow-capped mushroom soup. He's fucked.
Yes. So
he says bad sign, and then he just grabs the club.
Actually,
and goes
this
to kill
scene
the
here,
guard.
he's like hovering over Ringo. He's gonna obviously kill Ringo, but then he starts vomiting, and then Ringo just pushes him over the edge, which is great. So now you're seeing Taigen and Mizu working together, and they're counting together. Arrows are falling down. He's saying we're never going to get out of this. He even mentions, like, because he gets this is the scene where Ringo is like worried that he's going to die from this big bodyguard guy. He starts vomiting. He pushes him over. He's seeing all the arrows.
Oh, he doesn't just push him. He fucking Spartan kicks him off the cliff.
Yeah.
I thought that heavy character was done. After this scene, minor spoilers, but
yeah.
He's easy to kill. All right, hell yeah, good job, Ringo.
Nah, he's a tank, man. He's got that. When you're below 30% health, your armor goes up or whatever.
Right.
This is the part where Taigen gets hit in the leg by an arrow, right? Or is it the next scene here?
I think he's on. I think they're. Oh yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, they're getting in the chasm, and like it's funny because like when he gets hit in the leg, homegirl starts counting, and when she starts counting, he cuts her off.
He's like, stop counting down to my death.
It's really cool when I count,
Yeah.
But then he turns around and says, "Okay, the only way we're gonna survive is for you to get out of here, and you can just carry me and let the
use me as a meat shield," which is a cool touch because it's like he all of a sudden goes sacrificial on it. He's like, I respect your revenge quest. I see what you're trying to do. You're like deep down he knows she's a better fighter, or maybe he thinks Mizu's still a guy or whatever, but.
Or maybe he does suspect she's a woman. And he's like, this is like his way of saying like women and children first, kind of thing.
Yeah. But just like Donkey at the end of Shrek 1, Ringo comes swooping in to save the fucking day on the dragon or horse or whatever.
I'm gonna sacrifice myself, but now there's no need. Hooray!
And I like the looks at each other. And then she at the bottom when she's riding on the side of the horse, she looks up and he's looking down here. And I don't know if I can get that.
Yeah,
that clip,
it's something you don't get in live action unless you have a super fucking good director. Is those little glances that the characters give each other.
Also, that
like as he's riding in, and you see those facial expressions.
That horse is getting a huge bag of apples tonight. All right, I don't care what it costs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That horse is getting as many carrots as it wants. I don't care.
carrot apple salad.
care.
I love
Jesus.
that shot though, where they're riding away and there's all those arrows sticking out of them, but they're just like riding up
Yes.
the cliff. It seems like something out of some old legend or whatever that you'd see like painted somewhere, some crazy fucking story. I don't know. I
This
kind of
scene
got that vibe
episode-
from it. It's pretty
The
neat.
episode kind of ending and beginning with the same type of awesome, like pink purple sunset.
Yes. Thank you for
There's
mentioning that. But this scene right here, where she looks up, because he always says useful, and then she looks up to him and she's like, useful. And
This is where she finally accepts
But,
him.
but again, back to
Yes.
the more lines, like those 2 little extra lines under her eyes just make her
Yes.
eyes look swollen and puffy. You
Yeah.
know,
It's
like
stressed.
every line you add to a woman's face is just like, don't do that. I mean, if you're trying to flatter a woman, I'm saying if you're trying to draw a woman, don't ever just get their lips down and the shape of their nose and their eyes and the shape of their jaw, and that's basically it. Minimal
Unless you're
shading.
Fortiche Studios,
Unless
and
you're
you
drawing
can
an
make
old lady.
you can make this animation style look photoreal somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And Taigen is he's high T. He's like ripping an arrow out of his thigh. He's like, congratulating Ringo for helping out. And then he goes up to Mizu, like, this is your sword, you've earned it. And she takes it, and then he starts talking, turns around, and
She
bloop,
fucking-
gets a bops him in the back of the head.
knock the fuck out.
Yeah.
KO.
Yeah. And then we get Abijah Fowler again. And it's kind of like that dark, like you got this Darth Vader kind of vibe from him here. Like he's just like the way he's entering. Very cool scene. Like everything's so bloody detailed. It's amazing. But go ahead, Enzo.
So, oh my God, you just said Darth Vader, and now my mind is racing because I'm like, what if we
Yeah.
find out he is her father? What if we find out that he does work for someone else, like bigger and better, like an emperor type character?
Yep.
Like, there's so many things that are like, oh my God,
Yep.
he could very well be Darth Vader if, depending on how season 2 and whatever other seasons.
I
goes
get
out,
fucking
like,
I get Warhammer vibes from this shot right here, though.
Oh yeah.
Oh, wow.
This big
Okay.
beefy shoulder fucking dude with the
yeah.
gold
Yeah.
and red carpet. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit.
The Warhammer energy is so awesome.
Yeah.
Like all
Talk
the
about not
floor.
woke.
yeah,
at
Catholic
the-
churches and stuff with like
Oh,
That
yeah.
floor looks so worn and like walked
Oh.
on.
God damn it.
Somehow.
yeah. Yeah, the Japanese, they have great craftsmanship with their woodwork and their metalwork. It's bar none.
Hey man, napalm is a hell of a fucking
So-
counter to it.
Heishi Shindu is extremely upset because everything has not worked out for him.
He was trying to get rid of
and-
Fowler. That was his ulterior motive. Not only did he fail
Yeah.
at that, he's now missing a fucking limb.
which
Yeah.
I mean, we can talk about it, I guess, later on. But like, obviously, he's thinking that their chance of taking out Abijah is done, but we'll find out later that not exactly. So I mean, this scene's great too. That Taigen, they leave a note for him. Like, and they leave the broken sword for him. And she says, like, in the fall or in August or something like that, where they can have an actual battle.
Yeah,
And
which has got to be a long way off from now because it's clearly winter.
mhm. Yes. And
Autumn
then
is what she
we
says.
look at the scenery. Like, damn it, man. So
It's
well
so
done.
good.
Well, I also like how what does he say? Guy gets his arm cut off. He's obviously had a bad day at work, and he's like, we're not gonna kill this demon. It had eyes like you. Like,
Yeah.
talking to,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I actually have the line. It's the man I met is no man. Eyes empty. Eyes like yours.
the woman. No, I'm just kidding.
Which
So
again,
bad.
kind of that Luke Skywalker, Darth Vader,
Right.
vibe. And then we kind of end off with Taigen, trying to find tracks to follow, and
He gets fucking yoinked.
Yoinked, yeah. And then we're back at Abijah and Haishi Shindu, and they're wondering how they're going to get information of this blue-eyed devil, and they got it. They feel like they got some information in this barrel, which is obviously, yeah.
You have to as much as this sucks for Taigen, you have to admire Haiji Shindu and how he always has a card to play. He doesn't just come back like, boo hoo, I'm missing my arm. Like, no, he comes back, he's mad. He's like, fuck you, Fowler. I don't even like you. This evil devil reminds me of you. And not only that, I have a captive that's going to lead us to this white devil or whatever.
It's
like he always has a card to play. He never plays the victim, even though he's not like a soldier or, necessarily powerful like physically, but very strategic, very Game of Thrones kind of character, at least seasons 1 through 4.
We're allowed to talk about that?
Of course you can. It's Taigen. Everyone knows it's Taigen.
Yeah, it's Taigen. It's Taigen, yeah.
All right.
It's revealed. Like you can hear him grunting in there, I think.
Barrel.
I want to go back to what you said in the beginning, though, Amateur. You're talking about how he's one of the weaker characters, right? But this episode, they really build him up.
Yes.
Well, they built him up in this episode, and then he's captured in the end. He's at this weakest moment.
Yeah, he becomes a very good character by the end, but up until this point, he was pretty weak, like compared to the other characters, is what I'm saying.
Weak, but he was becoming a stronger character throughout the episode.
Yeah, he was becoming much more likable. Like they built up his likability a lot in this episode. So when they do this to him, it means something to the audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is just good writing. You can't just torture a character that we don't give a fuck about, because it'll just be shock value. But if you build up a character, you make them likable, you give us reasons to like them, and then you do this to them, then we feel like you're attacking us somehow, which makes it a lot stronger. We what's the word I'm looking for? We not sympathize, but we empathize with the character more if we like them. Hey, Vex is here.
Howdy.
Vex, what's going on?
Howdy, y'all.
Triggered. Yes.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts in general about this episode there, Enzo?
Well, like I said, like it was around like episode 4 where I was like, this is great, but it could be better. Just like a couple little changes. But it was like after episode 5, like spoiler-free discussion here, but it's like after episode 5, I was like, okay, coming around.
Yeah.
Because like we've already seen the Mulan thing so many times, and this is not the same thing, I don't think, after episode 5, you kind of realize like this isn't really a Mulan situation. Because it's like, and also like we've mentioned, it's like, how is nobody noticing or at least suspecting or at least making fun of this guy for, sounding a little like a woman? Like, at the very least, like, I mean, yeah, I don't know. The
one thing I will forgive, though, just the way that these things are made, is the casting for a lot of these characters is done like well after all the writing's locked. So like her sounding feminine, I can go 100% forgive that. But the way she looks, that's a different matter, because animation's the last thing that's done. But
well, that's why I'm trying to get Brian Kissinger on here to talk him about this character design. And
my God, I would love to pick his brain. Oh, you have no idea.
Yeah. Vex, the Gooch Samurai is reminding of that scene of Bone Tomahawk. Thank you, Vex.
The wishbone scene. Yeah.
Yeah, because like this, I felt like this episode did a lot of foreshadowing, did a lot of character development.
Yeah.
You get a good sense of where the story's going, but you're still second guessing a lot of it. Like you're not exactly sure how it's going to play out.
Yeah.
And then like we mentioned in the back room before we started this, episode 5 really solidifies this whole series. Like that's a powerful one. And for episode 5, I believe. Okay.
I watched it in 2 sittings, and after episode, I watched one half, and then I talked to you first. I was like, I don't know, man, because I had, you had,
Yeah.
like I said, you think you know where this is going. You
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
she's okay. I know where this is going, and then like after I watched the second 4 episodes, I was like, okay, all right, it's a lot better.
I would like to say it subverts your expectations, but that phrase just still is a bad taste in my mouth. But it does though, like it does in a good way.
Oh,
You
subvert
think
your
it,
expectations?
yeah,
Sure,
you
sure.
think it's going somewhere simple. You think it's going to come to the logical conclusion that they've been building up to, but it's like, no, fuck you. This is way more complicated.
But also, even if it had, like, I still think we'd be here defending the show because of the animation of the fight scenes. And
Yeah,
the action, and it's so
that's
cool.
the thing. It would have been fine.
Yes.
It would have been fine. It would have been good if it did exactly what you thought it would based on this episode. But
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't, and that's what makes it great. And that's why we're here excitedly talking about it. It's why it's
And the next episode,
that's
too,
why
I
it's
was really
exploding
worried.
despite the fact it hasn't had one fucking ad outside of YouTube and word of mouth.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Well, Enzo, do you want to come back next week for episode 4?
Absolutely. I'd love to, because like I said, next episode was really where I was like, oh yeah, okay, all this like promotion of hedonism, it's standard fare. But yeah, if you'll have me, if you'll have
No,
me, I'll
absolutely,
come on the
brother.
next,
Yeah,
couple
man.
episodes.
Absolutely.
I mean, I watched the whole show,
Um,
so
Yeah. And I like to get the different points from everybody. And like next
Sure,
week,
sure.
I asked someone else, and hopefully they get to come on. In episode 5, we have Michael Bancroft coming on for episode 5 because he
Oh,
thinks that
wow.
episode is the most powerful episode.
well, if
Emotional
I,
gut punch episode.
Yeah, if I can go ahead and get into that, if I'm not going to be on, I would say one of my things I was going to joke about was like the whole purpose, the whole motivation of the show is like kill this white dude because he might be your father, and like a revenge quest for your mother because she was raped by this person. But here's the thing. I mean, everyone loves their mother, right? But like if you don't know your father, he's never been in the picture. Whatever your mother has told you, if you found out that was not true, like I don't be surprised. Women would totally lie to their children to save face, if it was like some crazy story. So like I said, you're on your revenge quest to kill this person for allegedly doing this heinous act to your mother. But I wouldn't be surprised at all if we find out, we get to know this father figure and realize like, oh no,
Wait. Are you operating under the assumption that the woman in episode 4 and 5 is actually her mother?
Well, we do find that out at the end, which is a good I don't want to talk about that, but yeah, that's a good little nod away to the second sequel. Yeah. More cliffhangers.
Well, Kayla's got an interesting comments. My revenge quest would be for my dad.
Yeah, not my mom.
Not for my mom.
Daddy's girl, mama's boys.
Yeah.
I'm a solo cat. So, yeah. No, I if you want to come back there, Enzo, you're more than welcome. Amateur and I have been having a great time doing this, and I when I first started this, I said the one person I thought of, the kid on here, is Amateur because he's got great takes and he's got a wealth of knowledge about this stuff after doing Arcane and watching that video. I do want to mention to people, and we'll probably get a lot of viewers watching this probably the next day and week afterwards. Please go check out both these guys' channels, and I put them in the description below.
Yeah,
Amateur Analyst and Stupenzo. Stupenzo has a great show.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't need any followers or subscribers. Yeah, sure.
No, that's why I'm saying this. We're going to continue this conversation. I just want to mention that you have a great show on Monday evenings. If you want to talk about that quickly.
Oh yeah, so yeah, Mondays. It's not really evenings. Sometimes we do them early, but Mondays we do like a live stream where we gossip, and sometimes we have topics. I think Christmas we're gonna do a big Godzilla stream. That'll be fun. But cool. Yeah, and then Wednesdays I'll release a We Watch, which is like a Mystery Science Theater style, but stupider, EFAP movie style, riff on a movie. I think we might have Ginger Dead Man coming out next week, unless I record something between now and then. But yeah, check it out. It's fun. We goof off.
Yeah, check them out for sure.
Yes.
Very underrated streaming channel.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
I believe we both.
I'm blushing right now. You can't see me.
No, you got a you got a wealth of knowledge as well when it comes to movies and TV, bro. So like, I enjoy hearing your takes on things. Um, I guess like I've said, I always want to surround myself around really good people, and I've been really fortunate to hook up with you guys and talk
For
about these
real.
things.
It's been a
Yeah,
good year.
Yeah.
it's good to have you on here because you're definitely more of a movie buff than I am for sure. And just like the amount of freaking references that you would find in something like this, it's like I always feel like what we're watching. It's like this feels like it's nodding to something, but I don't know what it is.
Yes.
I bet you Enzo would know.
Enzo
Yeah.
fucked up The Exorcist for me. Like it's put me
And
in a
The Shining.
whole
And
and
The Shining.
The Shining, a whole other perspective of the whole thing.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
The only take I brought up about The Shining is with the house. Actually, when the blood scene, I said that's because the moon was out, it was full, and it was like
Right.
like almost like the cycle of a female, like but
Oh,
Yeah.
Shelley.
yes. So yeah, when you've watched this series, like in
Two
out of
cities.
10, so like out of 10, what would you rate this whole series now that you watched it? Because I know
mean,
where
dude,
I'm sitting.
for Netflix, like judging it based on Netflix, like, dude, 10, 9, 10. One of the easily the best thing Netflix has made. Easily.
Holy fuck. Okay.
I don't like Netflix
Yeah.
stuff. Netflix is usually like okay or good. Netflix rarely makes anything that is like truly exceptional or great.
Enzo,
in my
have
opinion.
you seen
But I
Arcane?
haven't seen Arcane. I haven't seen Arcane, which I heard.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
bro,
dude, you
no,
have
dude.
to. You have to. It's so
Well,
good, man. But
Yes.
everyone's all waiting on season 2, and I mean, they say it might come out 2025 or something. I don't know. Who knows?
now that we're weighing in, though, I have to say, I've watched the series twice now, and I've dug through now the first 3 episodes very deeply. And I originally gave the series an 8.5, which I thought was pretty respectable. But I have to say,
Yep.
reevaluating it, and I've also like changed the way that I rate things because I've discovered I'm overly harsh. I have to give it a 9.1.
Yeah.
Wow.
A solid
I would
9.1. And I'm a very harsh rater of things. Like I don't even give Lord of the Rings full points. So
Well, I got to say, like, I did like Scavenger's Reign more than this show, but I might be in the minority. I remember having like Blue Collar and some of my buddies. I tried to get them to watch Scavenger's Reign. They couldn't get into it. And
you
of
have
course, they
very
loved this show.
interesting taste, especially with the British film. You made me watch
Oh,
last week. I did like it. I thought it was
you guys.
I thought it was funny as fuck. It was disturbing, but it was the weirdest movie suggestion I've
Like I
had.
said, I think that
in a
was
while.
the high concept comedy I was going for. The idea of like doing a 4.5 hour discussion of such a weird movie was so funny to me. Yeah, and plus I had a good time
Wow.
and it was fun. So yeah, but yeah, I'm in Vex. I think Vex is in the same boat as me. I watched
Scavenger's
Scavenger's
Reign.
Reign.
Okay, I have to see it
I am
then.
going to be watching that tonight, so I'm going to
It's
be
very,
checking
like,
it out. I will
Miyazaki
message you if you
insane.
guys are up. I'll
No.
message you.
I'm gonna have to fucking put this on my ever-growing
Film list.
Yeah.
Man, I started interacting with Twitter and other YouTubers as like a very convoluted way of getting suggestions for good movies, and now I have this gigantic fucking list of movies, and I
You're
don't
welcome,
think
brother.
I'm ever gonna get the time to
You're
watch them all.
You're welcome.
I think I'm at 50 now.
Well, the thing about yeah, I don't know, Scavenger's Reign. It was chill, you know. It wasn't too. This show has way more action, you know. If you like the John Wick movies and all that stuff, like yeah, this is more your cup of tea than Scavenger's Reign. Scavenger's Reign is weird world building and just cool creature design and just it's mellow. It's mellow. It's like my music. I like chill music. I like some of these chill movies, you know. Redbeard, you're gonna watch Redbeard and be like, "What the hell is this?" I like some of this stuff. I like subdued.
Speaking of the
subtle-
action in this show, though, I have been working on a video
this show is definitely very This show's definitely very high octane, especially for an animated show.
oh shit, yeah.
Yes.
But,
It's, go ahead. They're amateur.
It's about the action in this show. I get why they did the character animation in 15 FPS because it's just way less work for the animators if they're on a schedule. But like I've been editing a video about Blue Eye Samurai. I'm doing like a 12-minute sort of like spoiler-free review, and just scrubbing through the footage and playing it at 2x speed. So having it at 30 FPS, it looks so smooth and like perfect. It's insane. I almost feel like just forcing the footage out in like optical flow 30 FPS for the video, just to show everyone how freaking good it looks when it's at a high frame rate. Because like it is phenomenally done. It's something I didn't notice until like today. But like, yeah, there's a lot more going on than you actually see just watching it on Netflix. But I have also been doing a bit of digging. The production company that owns the copyright to the show, they don't currently have any copyright restrictions for YouTube, which is fascinating. Yeah, I'm sure. I've already uploaded the test. I uploaded episode 3 in its entirety as a test, and it got a no. What is it called? It knew that it was there, but it said no restriction, no effect on monetization. I'm like,
Interesting.
Okay.
No, but the thing is, like, it's one of those things where like stuff that is allowed now might not be allowed in the future.
Yes,
taken down retroactively.
Yeah.
So,
that is true. That is true. But the first episode of the show is uploaded in its entirety on YouTube, which is fascinating as well.
The one person that would know that would be Amateur about copyright.
Oh, fuck me, would I know?
Oh, I'm the same way, dude. My channel is constantly. I feel bad for Amateur because I know they gave him such a hard job about Top Gun, his Top Gun video.
Yeah.
And like when I compare it to the shit I'm doing, I'm like, dude, how is my stuff allowed and his Top Gun video isn't? That makes no sense to me. Because I literally like.
It's not even just that. It's like the day I got my community guideline strike, I Googled. I just searched on YouTube other Top Gun videos, and there's entire like 8 to 15 minute like sections of the movie unedited in its entirety, just uploaded up to YouTube. And I added Team YouTube on Twitter, and I'm like, how is this allowed and my video's not? And they're like, oh, you didn't meet our community guidelines. And it's just like, yeah, but this does? This isn't even fair use. This is just redistribution. This is actually illegal. Like, what the fuck? And they're like, yeah, screw you. Top Gun isn't for amateurs. That is true. That is very true. I should have called myself the pro analyst, and it would have been allowed.
I do want to quickly mention congratulations to over 500 subscribers there, brother.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, man. No small part.
300.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. I mean, 500 is great. And
yes,
if I actually uploaded stuff more frequently, I would be monetized now. But apparently, I have to upload videos to be monetized.
You got, but that's impressive how you only got like 4 videos and through 500 subscribers. You know,
yeah,
2.5.
Well, his take on Arcane is amazing, absolutely amazing. It's
his Iron Giant video is fantastic.
Yes, both of them are just incredible. So,
man, now that I've been
please go check it out.
I do appreciate that a lot. I've been working on my part 2 for the Arcane, and I'm looking back at my first video, and I would not do it that way if I would make it now. There's so many things I would change.
I was telling Amateur.
I am proud of the video, though. Don't get me wrong, but.
Are you talking about like the editing or the music or what are you saying?
All of it. No, the music. Wow, fuck. You can't go wrong with that music.
I love the
but
music
like,
because like I know everyone does the silent version, but it's like I would be like Amateur. It's like I'm trying to work on my Redfield video and even some of my other shorter stuff.
Okay, well,
background music. It's cool.
Just for an instance, like the first, I would say like 3 or 4 minutes, I'm actually hammered doing the voiceover, and you can tell I'm like slurring my words and shit. And when I go back and listen to it, it's just like, oh my god, I could totally tell that I'm drunk, and like there's huge gaps between lines, and the audio's all over the place. And it's like I wouldn't do it like that if I did it now.
Well,
but
Jay Goodwin, yeah, why did YouTube not show this in my sub list?
Because YouTube fucking sucks. That's why.
Well, let's close out this episode, and we'll hang out in the back room and chit chat. And
Marty,
I want to go around the horn. And Amateur, where are you going to be in the next week?
So on Saturday, I'm going to be on the Uninspired Hour or so. We're going to be looking at
Krampus.
Krampus. That's what it is. Thank you. Krampus
I'll
with
be
a
there
K,
too.
which I have
We'll
not
also be there.
fucking had the time to see yet. I've had a pretty
Oh.
crazy couple weeks. But I'm going to try to watch that tomorrow, and then I'll be
Nice.
on that. And then on Monday, I am going to be on Cannoli's channel. We're going to be looking at Wonka, the 1971. Is it 71? Anyway, the good version of Willy Wonka with Gene Wilder. And then on Thursday next week, I'm going to be back on here doing episode 4.
Rad.
Yes.
And hopefully before then, I'll have my Blue Eye Samurai review out, which should be up this weekend. I know it was supposed to be up in the middle of this week, but I've had a crazy week. So, yeah, this weekend, hopefully. It's almost done.
Nice.
Awesome.
And
Yeah,
so,
I mean,
where are you
I'm
gonna
gonna be also on the Krampus stream on Saturday on is it Dark Hours channel or Uninspired's channel? I think it's Uninspired's channel.
Is it on? Yeah, I think it is Uninspired.
I don't remember, but one of those.
Well, they're
two.
both going to be on there either way. So
We'll both be on there too. And then Monday. I don't know, when should I? Do you want to come on? Would you rather do Dorkside after the Cannoli stream or before it?
it would have to be after. I'm already. It's already going to be
Well,
tough for me to
no
be on
worries.
Cannoli
Well, don't
stream. I
worry
have
if
to
you
like.
can't, but I'll probably stream late Monday because last week I streamed early, so I like
Nice.
flip flopping. But then also, I guess I'm Lance's like co-host now on Tuesdays for his Nielsen ratings, which is such an honor. 'Cause
Nice.
the guy-
Yeah.
I don't know.
nice.
I feel like I didn't stream. I streamed with him once, and then now he's just like keeping me around.
Yeah, you got to be on more stuff, and you got to get your channel exploding because you have like
Yeah.
Sure.
a radio quality voice, and you have
Yes.
like this depth of film knowledge that is just
I
immense as far as I'm concerned.
I appreciate it. I mean, I've got a touch of the tism. I've got a nice head of hair that I need to chop off. I need to get on camera more. I didn't want to get on camera because both of you guys were off camera, so I felt like
Yeah, you got a camera with the
today.
best low light control I've ever seen.
I'm on too many
I'm in a
shows
dark
lately,
room.
so I had to not show my ugly mug.
I love the new logo. I love the new branding.
Yeah, it's great.
Thank you, brother.
I'm glad.
And I
I'm
did
glad
watch
you're.
the,
I'm glad you're on your own
Paradise stream
on your
too.
own
That was
trail
great.
now.
Yes. Is there anywhere else you're going to be, Enzo, or is that it?
No, and I mean, wherever else the wind takes me,
Well, you'll be here next Thursday as well, so
Sweet.
let's include
Well,
that.
I'll be back home too, so I won't be streaming from my girlfriend's living room in the middle of, in the middle of
Yes.
a dark room. I'll be back in the man cave.
As for me, the Gooch, you can catch me. Tomorrow. I'm just chilling. Saturday night, you can catch me on with the crew there on Saturday Night Hypnosis. I believe this Saturday we have the Movie Cynic.
Cool.
Monday, I will be on Pre-Kings on Matt Barr's channel.
Ooh.
Tuesday, I have an interview with Dan Lawless. If you want to come check that out. Wednesday, I'm busy Wednesday. Wednesday, I have Paul Chatto coming on. So come check that out. And then I'll be hopping on to Joe M. Sontags for his 200th episode on Wednesday. Thursday, I'll be back here streaming with these two guys and possibly another guest and talking about episode 4 of Blue Eyed Samurai.
And
And
a very
then-
erotic episode too.
Yes.
Yes.
Ooh, it's gonna be a spicy
Hey.
one, isn't it?
Yes. And I'm looking forward to having these more conversations. Oh, welcome there, Timescales. We're just closing up right now. But so it's a busy week for me next week. Again, I want to thank you guys for coming on here.
Thank you.
Oh no, anytime. I'm an easygoing guy. So
Same.
And make sure that everyone in the chat, you every time you see a Desolate Souls Presents post, make sure to @ Michael Green in the post. We got to get him on here, man. We got to
I
get
will
him on
start
here.
doing
It's
that.
gonna happen. And
Okay.
@ Michael Green, all lowercase.
Yeah. Let's keep this thing rolling. We've got I want to thank everyone for watching the first two episodes. We've altogether, I think we're about 1,300, 1,400 views.
Yeah,
for the
man, that
two
first
episodes.
one's got legs.
Yes.
Nice.
So great. I know tonight was a busy night. There was the lame awards show. I don't know
Yeah,
why
and there's
you
also
would
like
watch that.
2 high-profile streams happening right now, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But next week we should have some legs again because we usually have about anywhere from 15 to 20 people in the chat.
I think people are waiting for us to do episode 4 because like
yes.
if you look at all the episodes, 3 is like arguably the weaker one.
Yes.
Yeah, 4 was the one where I was like, the doubts were higher than ever, and then 5 was like, oh, okay.
5 is just
such a
like
switch.
Yeah.
Such a whiplash between the two. Oh, it's so great.
Well, we'll be here next week. We'll look at episode 4 with possibly another guest. So
I am
everyone,
excited.
please take care. Have a great week, and we'll see you guys soon. Yeah,
Sayonara.
stay safe.
Stay
Sayonara.
classy, folks.
Yeah. Sayonara. Yeah.